I am the protagonist template. Invincible Chapter 241 to 260. Chapter 241. The dream that doesn't understand people's hearts. The sound of the sudden attack. In the lingering sound, although the surroundings seemed to be unchanged, the sense of staring that vaguely came from the bottom of my heart became stronger. It must be a dream. Baizi guessed in his heart. After making a basic judgment on the identity of the other party, he did not relax or careless at all. Indeed. No matter in anime, manga or even games, the fantasy beasts with the top legend proportion show almost no aggression except for their petite cuteness and curious playfulness. His character looks like a child, pure and ignorant of the world. But Baizi also remembered clearly. The official Pokédex. In addition to the description of his temperament, nature is lively and naughty, curious, and likes to play. It also specially marked its temperament is also capricious, and even surpasses human feelings, interests, and ethics, so it will also have a pure and cruel side. At last. The production team's positioning of the dream is one, human beings, incomprehensible existence. Why? 400 say a simple analogy. When the child destroys the ant nest, it may not have bad intentions, but just pure curiosity, or even no curiosity at all. But for ants only, this disaster came without warning, like a natural disaster. How can they understand what the child is thinking? And so on. Dreams may be simple enough, but thinking cannot achieve the same uniqueness as human beings, which transcends human feelings, interests, and ethics. It has enough power. It is truly unpredictable. For humans, it is like an impermanent existence, like a natural disaster. The same is true for Baizi. Because you can't predict at all, if you are dissatisfied, you will be directly wiped from this world by its playful wave missiles. This may just be Baizi's unfounded worries. However, for someone like him who always likes to be well prepared, when it comes to life, some preparations are indispensable. ACBH. Of course, he wasn't going to be too aggressive and just call Kakudaku out. According to the situation these days. 9 times out of 10, this guy is a dream. Although he has been hiding and staring at himself, the same curiosity is only elusive, and Baizeji's power does not feel the maliciousness of the other party. What kind of temperament Crack Kong is, although they haven't been with each other for a long time, Baizi can almost see it. That's the existence of a disagreement and a direct start. Before things were clear. It is impossible for Baizi to call him rashly. Because one trouble is not good, there may be another battle of gods. However, still not showing up. Looking at the open sea and sky that was still unresponsive, Baizi frowned and was about to speak again. He tilde. Accompanied by a tender little cotton sound, Baizi only felt that the back of his neck was being swept by a warm air. This is definitely not an illusion, as if something was blowing a breath of heat at his back collar. Baizi's body was suddenly tense, and although his breath was warm, he felt a coolness suddenly rise from his spine and reach his brain. Thong, subconsciously, the reaction force brought by the master-level kicking technique made him swipe back before his brain could react. His slender right leg was like a whip, and he drew a residual line in the air. Film. The body is also directly turned 180 degrees behind the left foot as the axis. In front of him is still an empty sea and sky, no creatures exist. Baizi. The overreaction made Nazi a little worried. Ignoring Baizi's advice, with a push with her bare hands, the wall of more than 3 feet of thought power seemed to be empty and seemed to be real. Completely filtered. But unfortunately, this is enough to force out the spiritual power of the ghost-type elves of the king level, but it still has no effect. Made. At this moment, Baizi couldn't help but get a little angry. It's just playing with him. He squeezed the inverse scale of the black flash cracking empty seat in his hand. He tilde. The little girl's soft voice sounded again, and along with it, a fresh and fragrant breath blew onto Baizi's face. A layer of mist rose up over the sunglasses. And this time, Natsi also finally heard the laughter. As if in the middle of an enemy, a teleportation approached Bai Zi's side, and with her hands up, a gleaming green psychic shield suddenly rose, covering her and Bai Zi. But unfortunately, still nothing works. Hee hee, meow tilde. The familiar laughter, the familiar warm breath coming from the top of his head, and finally, a cat-like meow. This made Bai Zi more sure of the other party's identity. It was a dream. As the saying goes, Buddha also has fire. After being played by this guy who is 99% of the fantasy deity, and thinking back to the days when he was nerfed by the sense of peeping, the anger in Bai Zi's heart suddenly broke his sanity. Do not care. Cause a war of gods, cause a war of gods. Before the big deal, please ask Kaikongza to keep the battlefield away from the Red Lotus Island and the Kanto continent. Whatever you say today, you must teach this guy a lesson. With this in mind, Bai Zi was just about to get in touch with Rikongzu through the reverse scale. Clap lala, above the sea level, an azure figure came galloping on the waves of the sea, and it didn't take a moment to rush towards it. All of a sudden, like a bright moon rising from the sea. In a flash, straight across Bai Zi's head. He slashed on a petite figure that suddenly appeared. Like being adrift, he was shot across the sea and bounced out far away. King sound. Looking at the awe-inspiring wolf-shaped elf in front of him, Bai Zi was stunned. P.S. Sister King tilde. Chapter 242. Dream, I'm not cowardly, it's just that good cats don't fight mad dogs. Are you all right? A special telepathy echoed in Bai Zi's ears, with the beauty and elegance of a noble female knight. He has a pale blue fur, and his posture is also noble and awe-inspiring. Although her body is covered with scar-like white lines and her left ear is also broken, the scars and disabilities all over her body will not conceal her luxurious and noble bearing in the slightest. Walk lightly. Like the flowers of the battlefield blooming in the temper of blood and fire. Beautiful and inviolable. Bai Zi recognized it at a glance, and the wolf-shaped elf that appeared in front of him was one of the top legendary elves in the Galar region. Hundreds of warriors who are known as heroes. The King of Swords who claims to be able to sever all things in the world and is also known as the Sword of the Fairy King. However, thousands of miles away, the top legend Kangshang located in the Galar region, how could it suddenly be in the waters of Kanto? And, also take the initiative to help yourself. It's okay, thank you, Kangshang. While guessing in his heart, Bai Zi also took advantage of the situation, or in other words, subconsciously tapped out the power of Bai Zi and swept towards the awe-inspiring and noble legendary elf beside him. Next second, rows of data panels suddenly appeared from the bottom of Bai Zi's eyes. Race. Kangshang 100 battles brave King of Swords. Attribute. Fairy. Characteristic. Indomitable sword. Exclusive. When playing, the attack will increase. Level. Level 1 God Peak. Level 119. 95 100ths. Potential. Level 1 God. HP. 92. Attack. 130 170ths, Defense, 115, Special Attack, 80, Special Defense, 115, Speed, 138 148ths. Exclusive Skill, Giant Beast Slash, available in the form of the King of Swords. Skills, Holy Sword, Quick Defense, Metal Claws, Howling, Lightning Flash, Bite, Split, Sword Dance, Iron Head, Grind, Crush, Moon Power, Close Combat, Ultimate Impact. Status. Good, Tired. Law Comprehension. Fairy 99%. Introduction. One of the legendary heroes who defeated the poisonous dragon Wujitana in the Galar region. Its slashes have a speed that cannot be captured by the naked eye. In the form of the King of Swords, its strength is infinitely close to the field of creation. So strong. A look of surprise flashed in Bai Zi's eyes. To be honest, Kang Zheng's strength was completely beyond his expectations. Because it was a 2+1 regional legend similar to Flightless, Fathead Fish, and Black and White Shuanglong. He originally thought The strength of Kangxiang and Zhangmarant should be slightly weaker than those of the C-rank legends such as Rikongza, Huram, and Hu. But now it seems that it is not weaker than them in the slightest. The form of 100 battles is already a top legend. In the form of the King of Swords, the strength is even infinitely close to the field of creation. Be good tilde, it's amazing. As the elder sister, Kangxiang is so powerful, and she must not give in too much to her surnamed younger brother, Zhangmarant. As such, how strong is the complete Wuji Taina? Baizi's eyes narrowed slightly. It's fine. At this time, Kangxiang looked up and down at Baizi, his eyes flowed, and he seemed to be sure of something, and said slowly with a sigh of relief. Then, he pondered for a while. Just as he was about to speak again, whoosh, a sharp piercing sound rang out. Exuding a faint pink halo, the dream wrapped in the spiritual ball of the same color swept across the sea, stirring up layers of waves and flying back quickly. Stop. Just when Dream was about to approach Baizi, a blue shadow flashed, and Kangxiang blocked it directly. Speak up. Dreams are not a reasoning master. But between Kangxiang's words, although light and indifferent, the sharp and sword-like resolute bearing contained in it makes Dream's heart stunned. The determination in that calm. It seems that if it really dares to take a step forward, then it will be the time for the opponent to die with itself. This guy, isn't his brain a little abnormal? In the face of such, 5 inches .6, 1, 0 feet, 9, 7 inches, 8.2, ling, long, guy, even if he has a simple personality, he never puts things aside. The optimist Dream in my heart couldn't help but mutter a little. Because they were born early enough and they like to run around, there are actually quite a few legendary elves known by Dreams. To be frank, one by one, those guys are all maverick guys. Some are responsible for maintaining the ecology, some are promoting ideals and truth, but rely on fights to win or lose, and some are nesting underground and can't sleep for a long time. 0. Ask for flowers. But this one. Even the most ill-tempered, the ice dragon Huram, who lives in the extremely cold cave, giant cave, does not have to share life and death with others if he disagrees. Moreover, it was obviously you who made the first move just now. Dream is angry. But in the end, he didn't force his way. Instead, he stopped in midair, 3 or 5 meters away from Baizi, across the sound. Good. Dreamy sucks. Of course, in its heart, this is just a good cat not fighting a mad dog. 0 ta o tilde, it really is this little guy, Dreamy. Oh, the unseen radiance flashed again, and taking advantage of this opportunity, Baizi also turned his attention to the bulging cheeks, and did not hide his stingy-looking dreamy body at all. Immediately, a new data panel appeared, Race, Dream. Attribute, Super Energy System. Feature, Synchronization. Level, Level 1 God Peak, Level 119, 99 100ths. Potential, Level 1 God, Extreme. HP, 100, Attack, 100, Defense, 100, Special Attack, 100, Special Defense, 100, Speed 100. Exclusive Skill, Super Annihilation. Use the violent superpower to completely destroy everything within the attack range. Common Skills, Slap, Mirror Attribute, Instant Amnesia, Strong Mentality, Destruction of Death Light, Teleportation, Primitive Power, Life Droplets, Wave Missiles, Seals, Transformation, Flying. Open Black Lens Bracket Status, Perfect Close Black Lens Bracket. Law Comprehension, Super Energy System 100%. Introduction. The phantom beasts that have arrived in the realm of the gods have incredible adaptability. They can freely shuttle in the water, fly freely in the air, and have the ability to transform into all Pokémon. They are limited by their potential and are only one step away. Involved in the field of creation. Several. Chapter 243, The Shining Sword That Cuts Everything. Baizi's sudden invitation. For full order. This little guy is really hidden. Looking at the dreamy data panel revealed in front of him, Baizi couldn't help squinting his eyes and sighed in his heart. To know. So far, he has seen quite a few first-level gods. But it includes the future giant Stinger, giant golden monster, as well as Feng Wang, Lugia, Dark Lugia, Black Flash and the empty seat and Kang Sheng beside him. Among them, there are many ancient and talented people from top legends. But without exception. The highest among them is also stuck at the limit of 99% law comprehension, which can be called a first-level divine law comprehension. Breaking through this upper limit, then, is the power that belongs to the field of creation. However, because I am limited by my potential, I have not been able to formally set foot in the field of creation. Baizi touched his chin. It seems that if you want to successfully break through to the field of creation, you must at least have 4 zeros, in terms of potential and laws. Enlightenment has reached the level of creation, of course. Whether there are any other requirements, it is not known to Baizi for the time being. And compared to that, Baizi was even more curious about another thing. Kang Sheng, you should be a legendary elf living in the Galar region. Why did you come to the Kanto region so far? Yes, this is Kanto, Kang Sheng. Right, you know that you crossed the border. Following Baizi's question, the dream not far away also coaxed. With a small waist. A righteous look. However, Kang Sheng completely ignored the dreamy stubble. Its eyes are still fixed on Dream's body without any deviation, and it is alert to any changes in the other party. At the same time, it also responded to Baizi with its noble and awe-inspiring female voice. Yes, I am indeed from the Galar region. As for coming to Kanto, it is entirely because of you. Huh. Baizi was stunned when he heard the words, then pointed at himself and said, because of me. Not bad. Kang Sheng didn't hide it, and in the curious eyes of the dream, which was equally meaningful, he said bluntly, because you are the one who awakened the sword, and I came all the way in pursuit of the breath of the sword. Sword. D4, Baizi blinked slightly in a daze, but soon, he responded, you mean, rotten sword. That's right. Kang Sheng nodded, his eyes narrowed slanting, and, it's on you now. On me, how can this? Baizi was even more stunned, and was about to shake his head to refute. But suddenly he seemed to remember something. Wait. He threw the single-room backpack diagonally in front of him, and after rummaging, took out a simple sword from the compartment. To say that he has something related to the sword, that's the only thing. I only have this sword in my hand, and it's a parting gift from a little guy. How can it be with the famous Sword of Decay? What the hell? Halfway through the words, Baizi, who skillfully used the power of Baizi to sweep the sword body, couldn't help but spit out the fragrance, with an unbelievable expression on his face. Really? The rotten sword. It is said that a long time ago, the hero used this sword to drive away disasters, but now it has become rusty. It can turn Kang Sheng into the King of Swords, and he can use this sword to carry the Chosen One. Unleash the deepest potential of the King of Swords, and with the removal of this Sword of Decay. It seems to have a sense of general. The blade suddenly vibrated for no reason. Immediately afterwards, one side of its sword ridge, like a pen walking a dragon and a snake, lit up a series of characters that shone slightly. This is. The sudden change made Baizi stunned for a second, but when the light touched the sound. Out tilde tilde tilde. A long sound like a long whistle to the moon sounded, and in the next second, the sword tool flew out of Baizi's hands, and Kang Sheng shook his head and held it in his long kiss. Immediately, the dazzling light appeared and quickly dissipated. And Kang Sheng's appearance also changed suddenly. The fur patterns on his body became rich, diverse and very gorgeous. The golden mask armor and stomach covered his head and face, and 2 pairs of metal, flying wings, of different sizes were spread out on the waist and back, like the flag is displayed high. The ordinary rotten sword in the mouth also turned into a golden holy sword of Michelle. The orange and blue diamond columns are embellished on it, which is extraordinarily luxurious. This is the legendary shining sword that can cut through everything. It is said that it can make a gorgeous attack that even the opponent will be fascinated by it. It is so sharp that even the thick scales of dragon-type elves can be cut like paper. Open. This is the form of Kang Zhang's Sword King. Whoosh, and after Kang Shang turned into the King of Swords with the use of the rotten sword, the dream almost burst back hundreds of meters as if it was escaping. Then he patted his little chest with a lingering look of fear. Scared to death meow, too scary meow. This small appearance. Called the actor leaned over. If Baizi hadn't seen the dream's attributes and understood, he knew how powerful this guy who pretended to be a pig and ate a tiger would really be passed by this cute little guy. I couldn't help rolling my eyes. Baizi didn't pay attention to the dream of playing tricks for the time being. Instead, he turned his gaze to the blue armored wolf beast with a height of nearly 3 meters at the shoulders. His eyes flickered, and he suddenly said, King Shang, since the rotten sword has linked you and me, then, do you want to try to get along with me and witness the future of this world together? Baizi's eyes were sincere. Yes, he sent an invitation to Kang Shang. The dreamy things made him more aware of the importance of power in this world. He owns the god calling Conch. He has deeper shallow friendship with the 2 top legends in Kanto, Hu and Lugia. The combat power is in no way inferior to them. Even the stronger Black Flash Crack Empty Seat also gave knee scales, forming an inexplicable bond. But sometimes far water really can't solve near fire. Good luck this time. Although the dream is slightly evil, it is only a prank at most. Next time. When you meet someone with a bad temper, and you immediately freeze the world, where can you justify it? Therefore. Anyway, he's going to give it a try. What's more, from Baizi's point of view, the possibility of Kang Shang agreeing to him is very high. 1.7. But no matter what, if he doesn't even dare to try, then the possibility is equal to 0. There's no harm in trying it out. What if it does? Just like that, the mantra of the great emperor in Fate is 1, try it. Baizi is not the kind of person who is squeamish. Since he is moved, don't give yourself any regrets. P.S. Comprehension of laws. Level 3 God 1% approximately 59%, Level 2 God 60% approximately 89%, Level 1 God 90% approximately 99%, God of Creation 100% tilde. This chapter the content contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 244. Please advise, Kang Shang, the salted fish stabs the giant beast. As soon as Baizi's invitation came out, the air suddenly fell silent, and it seemed that even the floating sea breeze became gentle and slow. Meow tilde. When Dream heard the words, his face suddenly became meaningful. After swimming around in midair for a few laps, it looks very excited. To be honest, it is the first time that it has grown so big that it is the first time that a human trainer invites a top legend. 1. Will you agree? Judging from the situation just now, it seems that the possibility of agreeing is not small. If I really agree, then do I count as witnessing history? He tilde fun and fun. On the other hand, Nazi clenched her fists nervously when she saw this scene. In the palm of his hand, beads of sweat suddenly covered. Subconsciously holding her breath and condensing her voice, her heart skipped a beat, as if it was about to jump out of her chest, and her ears were filled with drumstick-like echoes. Since establishing a relationship with Baizi, she has also heard a lot of unknown secrets from Baizi's mouth. There are numerous legendary elves and phantom beasts. As Baizi mentioned, the first-level god is the bottom, and it is very likely even the top-level legendary sword King Kang Shang. Although it is only the first time I have seen it, I have already heard of it. As the patron saint of the Galar region. By analogy, it is equivalent to the status of Ho-Oh and Lugia in this area. If Baizi really subdues such an existence, then he will become the first trainer in history to control the divine beast and use the power of the gods. Nazi, nervousness, anticipation and excitement from the bottom of my heart. Whether it is Nazi or Dream, or even Baizi himself, although he is so sure about this invitation. But what he never expected was that Kang Zhang's promise would be so straightforward. Yes. Without even the slightest hesitation, his steady voice is still as noble and dignified. Kang Zhang's personality is like a name, as sharp and direct as a sword. Or rather, I came here for this. You are the only one who can awaken the sword. You and I are connected by fate, and you are the trainer who can help me play the Shining King sword to the greatest extent. I need your strength. If you need mine too, then it's natural for you. However, I hope you can promise me to accompany me to Galar at the right time to look for the traces of Wuji Tana and prevent the possibility of the night from happening again. The so-called Dark Night. It is the special phenomenon caused by Kang Zhang's existence, called Wuji Tana, trying to maintain life by absorbing the energy of the Galar region. About 3,000 years ago, Wujitai, a visitor from the sky, came and ravaged the entire Galar region. The red light it radiated for food spread across the entire continent, making countless elves living in the Galar region out of control. The Galar region was almost wiped out because of this crisis. It was Kang Xiang and Zhang Marant, a pair of brothers and sisters who were both top legends, to attack together. With the power of sword and shield, he defeated Wuji Tana and restored the Galar region to its original state. But the defeated Wuji Tana, the fragments and energy that escaped from the body have become the source of the very characteristic giant battle in the Galar region today, and one of the important energy sources for the survival and development of the region. Of course there's nothing wrong with that. Although he was a little dazed by Kang Zhang's neatness, Baizi quickly regained his senses and agreed to Kang Zhang's request without any hesitation. Even in his view, this is not a requirement. Because, ellipsis. If it's a partner, then it's all my responsibility, isn't it? Kang Xiang didn't answer, but there was an undisguised appreciation in his eyes. This responsibility is not worth his choice. Kang Xiang slowly lowered his head and approached Baizi. No words needed. Baizi already understood what the other party meant. He put his palm lightly on Kang Zhang's forehead, on the golden crown faceplate. My name is Baizi. From now on, please give me more advice, Kang Xiang. In an instant. The dazzling light is now. Baizi narrowed his eyes slightly, and when the light dissipated, Kang Xiang had returned to his original state. And the rotten sword disappeared without a trace. Baizi seemed to feel something. Unzip the left arm cuff. Immediately. The brilliant king sword, which was proportionally reduced to the size of a thumb, was engraved on the wrist of Baizi's left arm like a brand. Just like a lifelike sword tattoo, it looks unremarkable. But then Baizi's mind moved slightly. First, the characters on the ridge of the sword light up slightly, and then, the whole king sword exudes a bright golden light. An inexplicable connection formed between himself and Kang Xiang. Baizi has a feeling. As long as he wants, Kang Xiang can be directly transformed into the form of the King of Swords anytime, anywhere. From now on, your destiny and mine are closely linked. The words that followed the announcement of the sound of the sky fell. The prompt sound of the system also sounded. 1. You have obtained a special mark. The brilliant King Sword, with a little income, all attributes +2. You have obtained a simulated combat skill. Giant Beast /400 need to borrow the power of the brilliant King Sword to use it. Left hand only, good guy. After the system's prompt sound completely disappeared, Baizi's eyes flashed with a hint of stunned. Salted fish stabs, giant beast /. Isn't this an exclusive skill in the form of the King of Kangxiang sword? Now, can it be used directly? Baizi was really stunned. What is this? Humans can use the skills of elves, and they are also the exclusive skills of top legends in a special state. Is he still a pure human being? Baizi brainstormed. But then, feeling the sharp sword-like power contained in his left arm, Baizi was suddenly eager to try. And after looking around, he set his eyes on the dreamy body not far away with a face witnessing the historical expression. Dream. PS1. The black and white dragon is to select human beings, not human beings to initiate an invitation, so it does not count, and I set the black and white dragon to be slightly weaker than the top legend. not a top legend, but the most advanced legend tilde. This chapter contains pictures. Click on the screen, click the illustration button in the lower right corner to view the picture. Chapter 245. Black Flash cracks the empty seat. I was cut off. For full order. At the same time, above the 9 layers of clouds above the Kanto region, on a small floating island, the half-dream and half-awake black dragon seemed to sense something, and abruptly opened those wine-red forcing eyes. The aura of excitement suddenly rose up unscrupulously. The momentum is like the substance, completely stirring the stratus clouds above the 10,000-meter altitude. Roar tilde. The resounding dragon roar of the black flash crackling seat resounded, and in the ozone not far away, a green crackling seat was shocked, and in a hurry, it almost failed to stabilize its instinctive floating flight and fell out of the clouds. What is this crazy girl doing? Beneath the scales, the faintly swollen, bruised, and blood-stained green cracking space seat tightened its expression. It could hear the anger contained in the dragon Yin, the little girl from the same clan as the martial arts madman. Think back to what happened to you before. The complexion changed for a while. Immediately, the dragon's tail flicked and flew in the opposite direction of the sound. No matter what the reason, it didn't want to intervene anyway, couldn't afford it, couldn't it hide. The green split empty seat simply walked. And the black flash crack empty seat, who was completely sober, was even more angry after confirming it. How dare you cut me off? For the black flash cracking empty seat, Bai Zi, the guy who rescued it and showed enough strength, is special. Although it did not directly agree when Bai Zi invited him. But that's just a matter of pride. Bai Zi is special in its heart. It is the only trainer that it recognizes, who is willing to guard it silently, wait for it to grow up, and let it surrender dignifiedly. It is willing to wait, and although it has not given words, it has already identified Bai Zi. Otherwise, black flash crack empty seat would not leave the inverse scales, which only grow once in a lifetime, by Bai Zi's side as a token. Because this is what it recognizes as a bond. But what it never thought was that while it was silently guarding and waiting for it, it was cut off by a guy who ran out of nowhere. To know. On the reverse scale, it deliberately left a source of breath. Ordinary people and elves can't perceive it, but as a top-level mythical beast, it's impossible not to find it. Black Flash cracking seat also knew that he was not the first to notice and bless Bai Zi. Before yourself. On Bai Zi's body, there are 3 or 4 auras of gods and beasts, big and small, and there is a little guy of a 3rd-level god hidden under his feet as a guardian elf. But these are either simply concerned with blessings, or their strength is too weak to be taken seriously by it at all. But now this is completely different. In its perception. That sharp aura that is not inferior to him in the slightest, is so deeply entangled with Bai Zi that it is almost to the point of blocking his own perception. How could the black flash crack empty seat, who almost regarded Bai Zi as his own ban, endure this? For it. This is equivalent to grabbing its room, occupying its man, and trying to drive it out. This is simply a serious provocation. Good. Very good. After squandering his rage, the black flash cracked empty seat gradually calmed down. The sea of clouds, which was swept away by the frantic energy, gradually calmed down. But invisible pressure. However, the surrounding space of the black flash cracked the empty seat dragon body is full of large and small twisted lines. This is the space crack formed by the distortion of the energy zone with the highest density. Black flash crack empty seat didn't say anything more. It is not a talkative temperament. With a flick of the dragon's tail, it was like a thunderbolt from the blue sky, and the entire dragon's body was instantly straightened, like a sharp arrow, piercing the floating island under it and rushing down. On the way, a little green light surged from the whole body of the black flash cracking empty seat, and 2 golden-orange streamers were also pulled out from both sides. The finishing touch. Super black flash crack empty seat. At this moment, the dream on the magma island on the east side of Honglian Island was a little dazed by Bai Zi's eyes. That green yin-yang look is obviously malicious. What do you want me out tilde? A little nervously, he shifted to the rear, but he seemed to feel that he was a little too cowardly, and moved forward a little bit quietly. It seemed to be a few centimeters more than the distance back. Baizi was amused by the dreamy little movements. This little guy, if you don't count the things he's tortured himself these days, it's still quite cute to look at. However, cute is cute. Baizi, however, has always been a master with little heart. Now that he has changed positions, he has to take revenge for this hatred. Think of this. His expression became more and more kind. He waved his hand calmly, and said with a smile on his face, I just learned a little new skill, and I want you to help me try it out. Try tricks. Seeing that the other party didn't seem to have any maliciousness, Dream relaxed a little. But he still blinked, shook his head repeatedly and refused. Don't play, although you definitely won't hurt me, but being beaten is not good at all. Before he could finish speaking, a subtle hidden weapon suddenly came towards him. Dreamy little brow wrinkled, just as he was about to avoid it, he suddenly seemed to sense something, his flat nose shrugged, and his eyes suddenly lit up. It's delicious. With a short claw move, a square, energy cube-like soft cake appeared in Dream's hand. Take a double sniff again. Then, without any hesitation, Mengwan swallowed this piece of Baizi's soothing soft cake in one bite. Meow tilde. In an instant, Dream was like a little cat that ate catnip, with two small claws holding her cheeks bulging, rolling up and down in midair, constantly making annoying meows. This thing is a soothing soft cake with Baizi's characteristics. The main function is to relieve the tension and fatigue after high-intensity high-hit training. Can soothe the spirit. Among them, there are some weak, hallucinogenic substances. Not strong, nor addictive, but will bring a temporary sense of pleasure. 21. And with Baizi's cooking skills, the taste is also quite good. Obviously, Dream is quite satisfied with this. After recovering, feeling the fragrance left in the mouth and the fluttering feeling just now, Dreamy approached in a flash, and asked anxiously, is there any more? Of course. Baizi smiled and said Yan Yan took out several pieces. He had eaten the basics of this thing himself, and the hallucinogenic intensity was quite low. An ordinary person can quickly ask for a little resistance, not to mention Dreams. But now it seems tongue-in-cheek. The Dream seems to be very useful for this, so it is no different from a child begging for candy. So, maybe I can take advantage of this. Baizi's eyes turned, and a thought suddenly appeared in his heart. Chapter 246, Eat Me a Salted Fish Thorn. Black flash cracking empty seat strikes. But soon, he regained his thoughts. Not a conscience discovery. Only. If this is really grasped, I am afraid that it will be inappropriate to make another move. If you don't feel depressed, it is still very harmful to your health. So, let's take a knife and let out the gas, and then talk about whether to pinch it or not. Thinking of this, Baizi's expression suddenly became a little sinister. Hey your expression is so evil meow. Dream's delicate little cotton sound focused Baizi's attention again. The little guy put his arms around his small shoulders playfully. Then, swallowing his saliva, he glanced at the soothing soft cake in Baizi's hand, and then glanced at the sound of his own, like a thief, and couldn't help but pouted. Okay, you just give me $3. Dream raised his little paw. After thinking for a while, he raised another one. It's still 6 yuan. Finally, not satisfied. He simply lifted his feet up, put his feet up in the air, and said, it's still 14,002 yuan. Give me at least 12 yuan. In this way, I'll give you a blow. After speaking, Dream looked at Baizi with a look of anticipation. Looking at it, his eyes shifted to the few soft cakes in Baizi's hands. Baizi moved to the left, and it turned its head left, moved to the right, and then turned its head again. This looks like it's so hard to handle. Even Kang Sheng, who was always alert to the Dream, couldn't help shaking his head. People just show up, and you've cleaned up the bottom line. How about you figure out who you're going to figure out? As predicted. After seeing Dream's urgent little eyes, the smile on Baizi's face deepened. 12 yuan. Although the materials are scarce, the craftsmanship is complicated, and the production is difficult, I can barely take out some, but what? But for something so precious, isn't it inappropriate for me to just hit it? Huh, is that so? Of course. Baizi shrugged his shoulders and narrowed his eyes slightly. Well, I'll lose a little bit. 12 yuan, I'll lose a little bit and beat you 12 times, how about that? Well, okay. After thinking about it for a while, she simply agreed. The fact that Baizi has superpowers cannot be concealed from the fantasy of superpower-type phantom beasts compared to top legends. For humans and most elves, Baizi's advanced superpowers are already powerful. But in the dream, this kind of superpower that is still one step away from the Heavenly King level, even if it does not defend, Baizi can't break through only with the passive mental shield on the body surface. Moreover, after the super energy law has advanced to 100%, the damage caused by the super energy factor to it is almost nothing. Therefore, the difference between hitting it once and hitting it 12 times isn't that big. It's not as good as other legendary elves. You can just hit it, and you can't hurt it, only you are shameless, it is invincible in the world. Even Dream is already thinking, when these 12 soft cakes are eaten, can they come and exchange often? That's right. Dream has already planned to take this as a long-term business. Come on. Thinking like this, Dream consciously opened his hands and feet, and made a big character in midair. In the voice of the little milk, there was a careless meaning. You can finish it in one breath, I will never resist. Hee, then just. Baizi pulled the corner of his mouth, and instantly, a layer of burning white thought power surged out, wrapping his left arm. The burning white light became brighter and brighter, and gradually formed a sword ridge similar to a salted fish, spreading out from the left arm. Are you ready, ACBH? Come on, your level of thought power doesn't hurt me at all, just. The words were not finished. The huge thought power longsword standing in the air has already slashed straight down. The void suddenly trembled, and slashed in a whistling sound. And just when the giant sword approached the top of Dream's head, the faint blue light and sharpness seemed to break through from the long sword of thought power. The sudden sense of crisis caused Dream to curl up like frizzy hair, and suddenly opened his eyes. Wait, what kind of skill is this? But unfortunately, it was a bit late to react at this time. Kacha, amidst the crisp cracking sound, a shimmering blue light, the energy sword with an extremely wide sword body rushed out from the shell of the psychic sword. With a single blow, Baizi finally turned the blade at the critical moment. With the sword ridge, he slapped directly on the dreamy chest and abdomen. Salted fish thorns. Ah no. It's a beast cut. Bang! Dream was blown away by an unsuspecting horizontal strike, and once again, like a drifter in the water, bouncing and jumping on the surface of the sea, he was slashed by this merciless giant beast except for the killer. He flew out all the way. Baizi breathed a sigh of relief, shook his slightly numb left arm, and let out a long laugh. It's cool. He is the first to play the fantasy that compares to top legends as volleyball, right? And under this blow, the sullenness in my heart also disappeared 90% of the time. Recalling the stunned and stunned pain mask of Dream when the behemoth slash came to him, what a cool word for that feeling. Kang Shang, who was on the side, looked at Baizi's expression, but he was also a little speechless. This vengeful temper, even it, has a feeling that he has only seen it in his life. However, it likes Tilda and right now. Kang Shang suddenly raised his head as if he sensed something. Only see. At this time, above the 9 heavens, the surging and frantic air flow formed a huge void and swept through it. Among the 7 color streamers that vaguely emerged, a slender blue-black dragon shadow loomed, and long flashing ribbons scattered on both sides. Let out a roar that shocked the world. Indigo. This is the super black flash Risikuza that maintains its original return form. And the comers are not good. P.S. Crack the empty mother tilde. Chapter 247. Bai Zi, who is like a big light bulb, hates his wife. For full order. Kang Xiang easily heard the killing intent and pertinence burning in anger from the dragon's roar. Heart vigilance suddenly. But above the 9 days, the attack that struck straight down like a sharp arrow was too fast and too hasty. It only had time to lean over slightly and gather a layer of honeycomb-shaped green shield on its forehead. And then one by one, roar tilde. The soaring and domineering dragon's roar resounded in the sky, and a black dragon shadow shining with green light quickly crossed from the cloud to the sky. With bursts of wind and whistling. One head slammed into the guarding shield condensed from Kang Zhang's forehead, pushed it horizontally, and fell into the sea far away from the Red Lotus and Magma Twin Islands. This is the finishing touch. How did the fissure seat come? Bai Zi's expression was stunned. The violent wind pressure accompanied the dust and smoke everywhere. He quickly waved his hand to protect himself with thought power, and then dispelled it. On the opposite side, Natsi's figure flickered under the bright green psychic mask. Bai Zi, are you alright? Don't worry, Kaikongza and Kangxiang are deliberately avoiding me. Bai Zi patted Nazi's palm comfortingly, his expression slightly condensed, with an obvious doubt and worry. However, why did the split sky seat attack Kangxiang? Could it be that there is some hatred between them? Natsi was also stunned. After thinking for a while, she guessed with some doubts. Perhaps, it was Kakuroza who misunderstood and thought that Kangxiang was going to be bad for you. Well, it's not without such a possibility. It's not a pinch me out tilde. At this moment, a familiar soft and cute voice suddenly sounded, interrupting Bai Zi's words. Huh. Bai Zi suddenly turned his head. I saw Yi Meng's petite pink body hovering less than a meter beside him, and those short hands were holding 3 or 4 pieces of soothing soft cake. Their cheeks were bulging, and they were eating happily. Bai Zi lifted the middle finger of the palm of his hand slightly, and suddenly found that the few soft cakes he was holding in his palm had disappeared. Nazi frowned on the side. About to do something. But suddenly she felt an itch in her palm, and then a force came, pulling her back. Turning his head, he saw Bai Zi gently shaking his head at her. Want to hear about it? There was no strange color on Bai Zi's face. Seeing that Dream had finished eating, he quietly handed over 2 more pieces and asked softly. How does it feel to be less than 3 feet away from a first-level god who has just been slashed by himself? Bai Zi tells you, just one word, exciting. However, Bai Zi also seemed to see that this little guy, Dream, had a bad taste, but he really didn't seem to have any ill will towards him. Even though he was slashed by himself not long ago. Tisk tisk, strange tilde, ah 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 ah. Choo choo, Dream held a small face and explained with bulging cheeks. The various blessings, imprints, etc. you have on your body are indeed difficult to find when looking for elves and people, but in our eyes, oh, in the eyes of the elves who reach the realm of the gods, they are almost like light bulbs. Saying that, Dream swallowed the soft cake, and handed the pink and tender claws to Bai Zi's eyes. Its meaning is self-evident. Give. Bai Zi still had a smile on his face, didn't give much, and took out 2 more pieces and put them in the hands of the little guy in front of him. At the same time, I made a calculation in my heart. 1, 5, 2, 2, $10 already. After taking the soft cake, Dream took a bite. Only then did he bring his little face to Bai Zi's side, and after turning around in a circle, he asked with a smile on his face, you know, what do you look like in our eyes? What? Colorful big light bulbs, Dream said while shaking his head while eating, especially the blue one, which is the sound of the blue, so it shouldn't be too bright. So, it is impossible for Rift Seek to be invisible. Saying that, it licked its little claws, and turned its eyes to Bai Zi again. And finished eating again. Bang tilde. Taking out 2 soft cakes again and handing them to Dream, Bai Zi frowned, looking at the surging clouds in the sky not far away, the flashing blue and green flashes, his expression slightly condensed. Although Kangxiang and Kai Kongzhao deliberately avoided the sea area he was in, they pulled the battle to the sky. But with the induction of Shining King Sword, Bai Zi knew Kang Shang is already in the form of the King of Swords, and he has gradually made a real fire with the split empty seat, who has never kept his hand. These two legendary elves were his friends and partners, and it was impossible for Bai Zi to watch them fight to the death. However, Zero, ask for flowers. The trouble should end it. If he wants to deal with Kang Shang and Kai Kangza well, he must first figure out why Kai Kangza suddenly shot Kang Shang. Especially, according to Dream, it is clear about the relationship between Kang Shang and himself. But when Bai Zi told Dream about this problem, the other party's expression suddenly became a little weird. That look. It's like watching a scumbag. What's your look like? Let's not talk about the rainbow hero chosen by Ho-Oh, the shelter of the three divine birds, the blessing of Lugia, the follower of the little ghost and the little electric cat. Dreams are so precious. Then he pointed to Bai Zi's pocket and asked, "You don't know what that thing is in your pocket, right?" Oh, Bai Zi raised his eyebrows slightly, knowing that his previous small actions did not conceal the dream. Thoughts turn. There was no difference on the face, but he took out the inverse scale of the cracking seat and said, "I know, this is the token given to me by the cracking seat, its inverse scale." "You still know," Dream said with a look of contempt. "Reverse scales. Ordinary pure-blooded dragons will only fade away when they die in their lives, and even if they are split, they will only grow again in their lives. Not to mention the inside there is still a trace of the original breath." This, Bai Zi's heart fluttered slightly, but he still didn't fully recall it for a while. Tisk 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 tilde, don't you understand? Dream shook his head. This means that Rift Seat has fully recognized you, or in other words, it has recognized you. I'm asking, what would you do if your spouse suddenly had a concubine without you knowing it, and even won the first prize one step ahead of you? This is a metaphor, why is it so strange? The corners of Bai Zi's mouth twitched, but when he thought about it in a dreamy way, his face suddenly looked a little bad. Kill him, underscore 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 underscore. Dream spread her hands and said nothing. Wipe. The hatred of robbing, wife, damn it. Several. Chapter 248. Seeing the truth, plan to make a split empty seat. For full order. This Nima. Bai Zi stroked his forehead slightly, because this is indeed a bit difficult. Who knows whether these two guys will listen to the persuasion? No, it should be Kaikong's or not. In the limited contact, this black flashing rift seat gave Bai Zi a very distinct feeling. Cool. Warlike. You can do it without comparison. To be honest, even if he was fortunate enough to be looked upon differently, he was not sure whether he could persuade him to break the empty seat. Aren't you troubled, meow tilde? At this time, Dream came up again and asked with a smile on his face. What, do you have a solution? Bai Zi was still a little frowning, but asked casually. But did not expect. He, of course, meow tilde. The dreamy pair floated freely in midair and moved with 400 inches, as if swimming in the air. Do you really have it? Tell me. Bai Zi was stunned for a moment, then quickly said. Tilde. As soon as the dreamy figure turned around, he lay on Bai Zi's left shoulder unrecognizable at all, stretched his small paw in front of his eyes, and said, "It's okay to tell you, but the remaining 11 strokes of the previous agreement will be don't do it, you have to give me some more soft cake, meow tilde." Bai Zi's eyes narrowed slightly. And Dream turned around again, hung his tail on Bai Zi's neck, came to Bai Zi, and faced him. The pure eyes seemed to see through Bai Zi completely. You don't really think of me as a fool, do you? The soft cakes you give are not much or not, he is really a vengeful human, meow tilde. Dream pulled out his tail, and bit by bit in Bai Zi's heart said. Bai Zi was speechless. Think about it now. Although the dream does behave like a curious child. But the ghost knows how long this dream has lived. After all, Dream is the legend of the ancestor of all Pokémon. In this way, it is at least ancient times, and there are hundreds of millions of years ago. How many years? Even if it was a Carp King, it would be a cunning life. What's more, Dream, a phantom beast that is not stupid at first sight. In this way, if you really deceive the dream as a child, then I am afraid that you are a real fool. Thinking of this, Baizi couldn't help shaking his head and smiling bitterly. Now it seems that he has unknowingly fallen into the original sin of arrogance. Perhaps, it is a prophetic vision of God. Or maybe, it was one after another. Because of fate, I came into contact with a lot of legendary elves. So many kinds. Let him be a little blind, forget his awe and his heart, and fall into the fog of his mind again, and some look down on the direction, right. Huh. Baizi exhaled slowly, closed his eyes, and opened them again. His eyes were clear. Congratulations to the host for being clear-headed. Having gained a little, the training level of the trainer has been increased by one-on-one battle level +1, cultivation level +1, mental strength +30. Feeling the elf knowledge of cultivation and fighting that emerged in his mind, a smile appeared on Baizi's mouth. In this way, his nurturing and battle levels have also entered the advanced and top level respectively. And with the improvement of these two skills, in addition to acquiring knowledge, his eyesight, joint flexibility, ability to understand plants and herbs, acuity, etc., have also improved a lot. And more importantly, his mood has grown, and it has improved again. Thank you. Meowed Tilda. Facing Baizi's sudden thanks, Dream was obviously taken aback. But then, Baizi glanced at Nazi, who looked aggrieved but like a sculpture. Her face turned cold, and her tone was calm and firm. Dream. Although I don't know what your method is, but now, I also have a method that can make them share the same hatred. As soon as these words came out, Nazi's eyes suddenly showed anxiety. And the elf ball on Baizi's waist, as well as the shadows under his feet, are also one by one, trembling and surging frantically. Dream was a little stunned. It looked at Baizi up and down as if it had known Baizi for the first time. Then, it's obviously the Neon she wants to shoot first. Tilda. Muttering in his mouth, he waved his hand to release the immobilization technique that was acting on Nazi. Same. It seems to know why this guy in front of him is sheltered by so many legends and treated differently. Huh. Nazi's expression relaxed, and her body couldn't help but feel a little soft. Just now, the moment she saw Dream wrapped her tail around Baizi's neck, she really had the urge to make a move. But just now the thought came up, and a dreamy ray of light passed by, and she was immediately frozen in place like a clay sculpture. The thought power in the body also fell into silence in an instant. The might of the gods. It used to be just speculation. But now, she can be regarded as seeing a corner of the mighty force. It's all right. Baizi took Lan Nazi's shoulders, and used some Baizi's power to soothe his mind. Then, he turned his attention to the dream. The previous agreement can be voided, and in the future, as long as you want to eat, you can come to me at any time, and I can make other dishes for you. However, I don't think you will refuse some small tasks. Mine, right? Since the other party knew it well, Baizi didn't hide it, and said frankly and openly. Cunning human. Meowed Tilda. Dream could not hear the potential meaning of Baizi's words. In the final analysis, it was just converting the original transaction into an almost non-binding gift exchange. But in this regard, the dream is not so annoying. Alright, it's up to you. As for the two of them, it's actually quite simple. As long as you think about it in a different way, 1.7 is actually a good thing. A good thing. Baizi blinked slightly. Tilda. Dream leaned into Baizi's ear with a smirk, and the scent of strange grass and trees spread into Baizi's nose. You are just like this. Like this. If this happens, maybe can you take advantage of the opportunity to take the split empty seat? How about it? Is it a good way? After speaking, Dream fluttered away with a smug look on his face, and said with his waist crossed. Crazy. Baizi didn't say much, and simply gave Dream a thumbs up. Chapter 249. Hero vs. Dragon God, the collision of skill and power. At this time, it was above an isolated island outside the southwest waters of Honglian Island. The sound of axe, spear and sword chirping can be heard incessantly. The remnant cloud that rolls back. Howling wind. Even at a height of 10,000 feet, its powerful wind pressure completely flattened the vegetation on this uninhabited island. The sea area for several miles around was even more depressed and sunk slightly. The wind pressure is constant. For a while, it was impossible to return at all. The distance from Rift Seat's raid to this time. But 10 minutes. The super black flashing Kakuza has been in fierce confrontation with King Sheng in the form of the King of Swords for dozens of rounds. Although the two levels are similar. But on the spot. It is completely the cracking seat pressing the King sound to fight. This is not to say that the strength of the cracking seat is far better than that of King Shang, but it is the constraints of the battlefield that are overwhelmingly disadvantageous to King Shang. Indeed. Unlike Groudon, who has the nickname of Flyless, although King Shang can't fly freely in the sky, his excellent bouncing power and short-lived galloping light still ensure his agility and mobility. Therefore, it is not completely helpless to the flying units that master the ability to control the air. But even so, this is still unable to smooth out the disadvantage of the Kakuzu clan who dominate the sky, can fly at a dizzying speed of O2 and control their bodies freely. If it wasn't for the speed of King Sheng, it was not inferior at all, and it was even slightly better in short-range bursts. I'm afraid that it has long been caught by the cracking seat. Take advantage of air superiority to completely overturn the battle situation, and use the finishing touch to even death. In fact, this disadvantage is not insurmountable. Although the star-studded islets above the sea are far apart from the eyes of ordinary humans and elves, for King Shang, it is really easy to use them as temporary footholds and pedals. Just pull the battlefield down. A method of fighting a defensive counterattack. The air superiority possessed by the Rift Seat will be greatly reduced. But the same. As a result, the aftermath of the full-strength battle of the two first-level gods will cause an unknown number of casualties. King Shang has an indifferent personality, but is a legendary elf with a heroic heart, and is not willing to cause innocent harm. Therefore, he gave up this method and tried to raise the battlefield as much as possible to avoid the aftermath of the battle from harming ordinary elves. And Rift Seat doesn't have that many ideas. It was really angry at first. But when it was playing, it found that the other party was really a pretty good opponent. Even if it was at a disadvantage, it did not let it take too much advantage. A dozen or so rounds of finishing touches pressed the other side for a while. But substantial damage. But almost none. Of course, there is also a reason why it will focus some of its attention on Baizi's side, but the other party thinks that the same is true, and he has more scruples. King sound. It's getting more and more exciting. Roar tilde. The black flashing cracking seat roared and snaked the dragon body in the air. The jade-like light condensed to the extreme in an instant. The next moment, it turned into a green arrow of light and slammed into the opposite King Shang. Swish one by one, the air seems to be drawn with a line of fire, and the attack of the black flash cracking seat is always so simple and rude. Another finishing touch. Boom. King Shang quickly took a long kiss, and a long golden blade suddenly appeared in its mouth. The wolf's head swayed, and met the arrow-like triangular exoskeleton of the rift block at a subtle angle. Holy sword. And then, there was a stabbed one by one, and the shape of the body was wrong. The golden sword body rubbed the long arrows formed by the split space staggered, and the sound of metal grinding suddenly came. Sharpening. What an exquisite combination of holy sword and sharpening. It's absolutely wonderful. With Nazi, Baizi, who was wrapped in a psychic ball in his dream and rushed to the edge of the battlefield, just saw this scene, and he couldn't help but sigh. Have to say, King Zheng's use of skills is indeed unique. In the face of the tough blow of the cracking seat, he did not hit it hard at all. Instead, he used his skills to break through the force and use the opportunity to sharpen his concentration. This kind of fighting method, compared with the tyrannical cracking seat, it is simply a skill. Powerful duel. The confrontation with just one blow made Bai Zi feel a sense of admiration, and he couldn't help being a little dazzled. Hey, what are you looking at? Hurry up and stop it. I can understand why you are valued by the martial madman of the Korakuza, meow tilde, the dream on the side couldn't help but reminded and spat out. Rolling eyes. A helpless look on his face. Cough. Bai Zi coughed slightly embarrassedly, and then said to Dream, okay, Dream, please help to increase it. Tilde. Dream didn't say much, just waved his little hand hummingly. Immediately, a layer of pink halo soaked into Bai Zi's limbs, and in an instant, Bai Zi felt that his own spiritual power was infinitely elevated. Under the increase of the superpower in the body, he has the illusion of picking the stars with one hand. At this moment, the dreamy reminder sound came again. Okay, don't get intoxicated, go to work, meow tilde. I know. Bai Zi opened his eyes helplessly, waved his hand, and took a deep breath. Next second, the powerful superpower immediately tore apart the high-energy area that permeated the battlefield and landed directly on the top of the black flash crack empty seat. Ah! At the moment of falling, the strong wind and acceleration made him stagger a little. After quickly immobilizing his body with his mind power, he had to crawl on top of the 400 head of the cracking seat for the first time, and reminded loudly, cracking seat, please, stop first. Ow tilde. With a long groan, the black flash cracked empty seat twisted, and instantly turned from movement to stillness, hovering meanderingly in midair. Humph. Bai Zi, are you trying to stop me? Having said that, the black flash crack empty seat released the super evolution at the first time. Slap, a crisp sound sounded, and along with a little green light, the black flash cracking seat returned to its original posture. And aside. Seeing this, King Shang was also deflected directly, with golden light scattered all over his body, returning to the form of a hero of 100 battles and falling into the sea, standing on a rock that was only a few inches square inch. Breath, slightly scattered. Running all the way for more than a month, when crossing the area, there were several conflicts with several local legends, and now there is a chaotic battle with the split empty seat. Even if it is King Shang, it is not a light burden. Breathe out slightly. Suddenly, a connection of spiritual power came, followed by Bai Zi's telepathic voice. I am sorry, King Shang, what I said in a while may have wronged you, I hope you don't take it to heart. Chapter 250, Bai Zi, crack the empty seat, you are willing to marry. Please order. You want to take the opportunity to subdue it, right? It doesn't matter, I didn't monopolize your thoughts. On the contrary, if your power can be strengthened again, it will be a blessing for me. King Shang is more than he imagined reasonable. And the good thing it said, Bai Zi didn't ask himself. Presumably, it was about the change in the night of Wuji Tai's pavilion. Speak up. More on the plot deduction on Anime TV. At this time, Wuji Tai should have been sealed in the underground of Kwangwon City by Lowe's, the president of the Alliance branch in the Galara region, and built an energy factory, hoping to use the energy of Wujidana to generate a new energy supply for the Galara region to use. Have to say, this is a crazy and over-the-top idea. The original also proved Law's failure. However, Bai Zi was not going to inform King Shang of the news of Wuji Tana, and then took action in advance to stop it. Regardless of whether he can overwhelm Wuji Tai. The pressure brought by the Galar Alliance itself, and even the Alliance headquarters after hearing the news, can be imagined. Although Bai Zi would not care about this, there is no need to force things that can be avoided by themselves. Wouldn't it be better to wait a few years for Wuji Tai to break through the seal and then finish it off? He can be a hero, and he can call a bunch of people in debt. On the contrary, at this time, when he went to Wuji Tai, he must have a proper villain style. Think about it. Even if it is a half-crippled Wuji Taina, can't he escape the level of a first-level god? And in a densely populated metropolis like Kwangwon City, fighting with Wuji Tai, not to mention how many people will die, even if it is a success, Bai Zi dares to say that at least half of Galar's trainers must form a deadly feud with him. Such a thankless thing, a fool can do it. He is not someone who is in urgent need of 1 or 2 top legends. The time has come, let's talk about it. Right now, it's just right to get the cracking seat first. Curb your mind. Baizi felt the increase in his body being gradually pulled away, and while feeling a little speechless, he resisted the rising feeling of weakness, wrapped his mind power, and came to the front of the cracking seat. With its bright red eyes, the 4 eyes are opposite. How come, Kaikongza? I don't want to stop you, I just want to say something. Kaikongza was silent, his wine-red pupils reflected Baizi's face. Baizi took off his sunglasses and put them away. Blinking his eyes, he got used to the sight that was not so fancy anymore. The blue pupils are as warm as jade. He gently put his palm on the chin of the cracking seat, and didn't pay any attention to the dragon's prestige that permeated the cracking seat. The power of Baizi spread slowly, completely conveying his intentions to the other party. Although it's a bit abrupt, but from the first time I saw you, I already wanted to tell you. King Shang, I haven't officially conquered it yet, for the first time, I want to leave it to you. Willing to marry me? Cough. Would you like to set foot on the peak with me? Splitting seat. Baizi slowly expressed his thoughts, and these words were not false. It is undeniable that most of the legends of eudemons in the elf world have a unique charm, and Kaikongza, among the legendary eudemons, not to mention the first, at least the top 3. Especially after the theatrical version of Hoopa's Super Demon was broadcast. Not only did Groudon's non-flying nickname spread throughout the elf circle, it became a meme that I couldn't bear. Black Glitter Rift Seat. 1 Belt 2, Pick 6 Demeanor, also attract countless fans. And Baizi. It is one of them. In the fantasy of traveling through the elf world countless times in the past life, this domineering flashing crack is always included in it. Now that the fairy world is really reborn, there is such an opportunity. Although there is no lack of caution. But every word he said was sincere. And as his words came out, the calm eyes of the cracking seat suddenly wavered slightly, and it seemed that a shy and tangled expression flashed away. Baizi didn't see clearly. Just as he was about to continue his pursuit, he found that the other party's red eyes had returned to calm again. Time passed slowly in the eyes of the 4. In the silence, Baizi could even clearly hear his own heartbeat. Finally, the beautiful telepathy of the split empty seat slowly sounded in Baizi's ear. Okay. There was only one word, but Baizi couldn't help but waved his fist out of thin air with some excitement. Yes. The black flashing cracking seat, the strongest dragon in his mind, promised him. He really lived to be recognized by the other party. 0. Ask for flowers. Become a legendary trainer with Riftza. Looking at the boy's unmistakable joy, the black flash cracked empty seat bent the corner of his mouth. Although the establishment of this bond is a bit abrupt, this feeling is not bad. Welcome to our big family, Crack Kongza, I'll ask you for more advice in the future. Baizi took out a luxurious ball and handed it to Crack Kongza with a chuckle. Kaikongza's dark red pupils stared deeply at Baizi, and finally the proud head under it slowly tapped on the button of the Pokeball. At the moment of contact, Kaikongza's slender dragon body suddenly turned into a red light and completely submerged into the interior of the Pokeball. Beep, beep, beep. Dong. Oh flashes symbolically, and the voice representing successful subjugation sounded. Ha ha. But before Baizi was happy to say something, the luxury ball that had been quiet suddenly shook violently. Immediately after, bang, the Pokeball came out of my hand, and with a loud bang, the Pokeball, which had not yet shrunk in size, exploded into pieces. Who tilde? Kaikongza showed his figure again in a low voice, and looked at Baizi with a little doubt. Baizi, wipe. Forgot an important thing. Although the deluxe ball is already one of the best Pokeballs on the market, it is obviously not up to the standard to carry top legends. This is really... Baizi stroked his forehead a little helplessly, glanced at the cracking seat in front of him, then glanced at King Shang below, and sighed, it seems that I can't put you in the Pokeball for the time being. Yes. He scratched his scalp. After thinking for a while, he couldn't help but sigh. There is still a kangling sound to carry the cracked seat. The deluxe ball is not enough, there is only the master ball. 2. It's a bit troublesome. Several. Chapter 251. Starry Sky, Secret Realm. The Seed of the World Tree. For full order. Red Lotus Town. A separate communication room at the Genie Center. Master Ball. I only have one of the Master Balls in my collection, and I gave it to that stinky boy in our family not long ago. Dr. Ogi on the video looked embarrassed. Just 3 days ago, that kid Qinglu suddenly asked for what I wanted. It seems that I have found some precious elves that I need to use. It is difficult to collect Master Balls in my hands now. After all, this thing has been out of production for a long time. I don't know who the original batch went to. I have it. Is that so? Baizi frowned slightly. He also knows a thing or two about the Master Ball. At the beginning, Shaloof Group created the Pokeball project, Master Ball, with great expectations and ambitions. The initial research and development cost billions of dollars. 400 is intended to create a Pokeball that can directly conquer 100% of any Pokémon without fighting. But then the first batch of the first limited edition Master Balls appeared on the market. But people found out that this expensive Pokeball is a tasteless and unfortunate piece of the puzzle. Because, although the Master Ball can capture and restrain the elves 100%, it can't tame them at all. Most elves run away the first time they are released. Some grumpy ones may even attack the trainer holding the Master Ball directly when they are released from the Master Ball. Expensive. Can be caught but not used. This greatly reduces the value of the Master Ball. It also made the Sheriff Group, which had great expectations for this and produced this Pokeball, finally stopped the continued research and production of the Master Ball. Therefore, there are very few Master Balls on the market today. Basically, there are still some unused Master Balls in the inventories of major doctors, families and even alliances. It is indeed difficult to collect it. Because this thing is like a collectible, and its practical value is not large, but the person who owns it is a status symbol, and basically it will not be sold. Or compromise. Of course. With the prestige of Dr. Damu, and a little favor, it is not difficult to get one or two. But the debt of favor has always been difficult to repay, not to mention the identity of Dr. Damu. Therefore, this mouth, Baizi, is really difficult to open. And right now, along with the sound of rummaging boxes, Dr. Damu, who disappeared from the video, suddenly reappeared from the screen again. In his hands, one on the left and one on the right, held two peculiar Pokeballs on the screen. In Baizi's inexplicable look. Haha, with an inexplicable meaning in his tone. These two Pokeballs were also entrusted to me by a friend many years ago, and asked me to make them specially, and they have been passed down to this day. As for the names, they are called Starry Ball and Secret Realm Ball. The blue Star Ball is suitable for the flight system, and the other lavender one is the Secret Ball, which is suitable for the fairy system. It should be able to solve your urgent needs. Dr. Damu said words that made Baizi inexplicably familiar. And then, he suddenly changed his face again, put on a weird expression and teased, "As for who he is, this is the same as before. I can't tell you for the time being, because one day I'll know, won't I?" Baizi rolled his eyes and interrupted directly. "Second time. The ghost ball when we set off from Junshin Town before, this time the Star Ball and the Secret Ball. Although I haven't got it yet, there are 9 out of 10 that are suitable for Risikuza and Kangxiang." To be honest, Baizi's heart was really curious with such an unpredictable preparation. Or, in fact, he already had some guesses in his heart. A sudden chirping sound suddenly interrupted Baizi's thoughts. On the opposite side of the video, Dr. Damu's expression changed suddenly. No, my instant noodles. Don't talk about Baizi, I'll send the things to you right now, I'll chat next time. Ah. As soon as Baizi raised his hand, the video went black with a whistle. Soon. As the platform under the communicator flickered for a while, 2 peculiarly shaped Pokeballs were sent over. Really? Unable to roll his eyes, Baizi reached out and took the 2 coins on the platform in his hand. Both feel good and are light. The lower half of the blue one looks like an alloy cast, and the upper half is a transparent crystal, which is dotted with blue-purple stars, like a starry sky curtain, full of technology. The lavender-pink ones have a nephrite-like touch overall. It is engraved with a ribbon composed of countless characters, which is full of mystery. It looks like it's not ordinary. Weighed twice. Immediately, the power of Baizi's power to detect all things swept away one by one. Star ball. Made from extraterrestrial meteorites and core crystals of the flight system, its interior can simulate part of the ozone and even the starry sky environment, suitable for the flight system elves that survive at extreme high altitudes. Close black lens bracket. Secret realm ball. It is made of a whole piece of fairy chalcedony, and its interior simulates the fairy realm, which is very suitable for the survival of fairies. Sure enough. There was an inexplicable meaning in Baizi's eyes. He pondered a little, then turned and left the independent communication room. Kai Kongza, Kang Xiang, and Natsi were all hiding in the woods on the back of the island, and he didn't have time to delay here. As for the dreamy little guy, after releasing Shinado in the Pokeball, after whispering to her, he handed Shinado something and disappeared without a trace. He also looked at things. It is a seed of the World Tree, 1.7 seeds of the World Tree. Seeds containing strange power, exuding breath, can be used as a passport for the immune system of the World Tree. Function, it seems specious. As for what the dream said to Shinado, Baizi asked, and Shinado just shook his head full of thoughts. Baizi did not force it. Although he knew that he insisted on asking, Shinado would probably not hide it from him, but since Shinado showed resistance, Baizi also respected her privacy. After all, Baizi believes that Shinado has his own judgment, and Shinado will not harm him. Chapter 252, The Battlefield in the Magma. Touch the fire mine. For full order. Just when Baizi went to the back of the town, that is, the dense forest on the east coast of the island, he was hiding Kang Xiang, Rikongza and Natsi. It is located in a wild hot spring hotel to the east of the volcano on Honglian Island. An old man with a shiny top door and a mustache was sitting with a cane in both hands, sitting at the gate of an empty hotel with a depressed look on his face. This old man, whose image has changed drastically, is Shabo. After saying goodbye to Baizinazi, he excitedly returned to the battlefield hidden behind the hot spring hotel, built inside the Red Lotus volcano. That is, the real Red Lotus gym. It's different from the seasons in previous years when you can't always find a trainer all year round. This year, exactly this month, his Red Lotus gym welcomed a total of 4 excellent trainers. These guys are all from Junshin Town without exception. Although each one of them is maverick, and there are even daredevils whose elves trained by themselves do not obey orders, it is undeniable that all of them are quite excellent trainers. Especially the 2 little guys who came over first. The strength is strong. It was really scary even for him. All of them were the Crimson Badges that he had beaten him abruptly with his main force in O2. Abnormal. It's really changed to the extreme. You know, as far as he knows, these little guys are all rookie trainers who just started this year. Starting in March, now it's less than July, and in 110 days, he can already hold down his old brand. King Hit. Isn't this a pervert? It's not what a monster is. But including these 2 little monsters, the 4 trainers from True New Town who came to challenge him and took away the Crimson Badge all asked him the same question. Also from Junshin Town, named Baizi, a boy with silver hair, did he come here to challenge and take away the Crimson Badge? 4 times in a row. Seriously, Shabo was very interested in this familiar yet unfamiliar boy. Especially when he learned that these 4 little guys, without exception, were all defeated by him. Shabo was looking for something on the island almost every day. For fear of missing the opponent's challenge. Hard work pays off. This afternoon, He finally waited for that kid, resisting the feeling of dragging him directly to the Red Lotus gym to fight. Xiaobo asked that old-fashioned brain teaser. After all, there should be a process. But didn't expect it to be. He waited from the afternoon until the sun went down, and when he saw the full moon hanging high, the other party still didn't come. Hey, if I knew it earlier, I wouldn't go through the process, just show my identity and take that kid to fight. I haven't come yet, I'm afraid I've left the island, or stayed at a hot spring hotel at the foot of the mountain, right? Speaking of which, the laboratory seems to have detected a high-level energy conflict in the nearby sea area not long ago. A qualified trainer does not lack the spirit of exploration. That kid. Shouldn't he be running to explore? Just as Xiaobo was talking, a beep 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 sounded from his waist. Huh. Xiaobo was stunned for a moment, took a machine that looked like a big brother from his waist, lightly tapped, and a virtual screen suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. Good boy, when did you touch the crater? The worry on Xiaobo's face was instantly swept away, and the whole person stood up in a hurry. Get off the crutches. Entering the room with a swift pace completely different from that of the old man. Reach out and push in front of a wall with various crafts. DDD, made a sudden sound. The digital pattern of green squares swept away, and within a moment, a deep hole appeared in front of Xiaobo. At the same time, Baizi and Nazi, who entered the interior of Honglian volcano from a hidden hole on the mountainside, felt a scorching hot air blowing towards them after passing through the long tunnel. The view that catches your eye is very unique. Except for the lava pool that bubbling and bursting from time to time under the cave. At the feet of him and Nazi, and opposite the magma pool, there are platforms that are 3 to 5 meters wide. And before the two-party platform. Then there are several burnt red huge cylinders that are inserted straight into the interior of the lava pool. This place, no matter how you look at it, looks like a prototype of a battle platform. No, maybe it's not just a prototype. Boom, rumbling, just as Baizi was thinking about it, the entire entrance of the cave suddenly began to vibrate violently. Under his meaningful admiration, 4 huge iron chains as thick as an adult man's waist were slowly pulled out of the magma. As the chain continues to stretch, a huge square stone slab composed of countless squares was lifted from the magma. The rolling magma kept sliding down, and I don't know what material this slab was made of. It could actually be immersed under the magma for a long time without producing any melting and cracking. You know, the temperature of magma can reach up to 1300. This is a terrifying high temperature that is enough to melt steel. Thinking of this, Baizi suddenly became curious, and before Xiaobo arrived, he swept away directly with the power of Baizi, touching fire ore. An extremely rare core lava ore with worthy of it is said to have the highest high-temperature fire resistance in the world's 400. Long-term lava soaking will not only have no effect, but will help the maintenance of tactile fire mines. It turned out to be a touch-melting fire mine. Looking at the feedback in front of him, Baizi's breathing became a little faster. As a qualified trainer, especially in the case of having iron dumbbells, such as steel-type spirits that need to use minerals to grow, he has made enough effort to understand all kinds of metals and ores. And touch the molten fire ore. These are the few precious minerals that make him pay the most attention. Because, according to the data from a laboratory specializing in steel elves in the Fengyuan area, Baizi learned that after eating a certain amount of contact-dissolving fire ore, the steel elves will increase their resistance to fire factors. The giant gold monster is a famous attribute shield. The weak points are nothing but the 4 categories of ground, ghost, fire, and evil. If you can have enough touch-melting fire ore to cultivate, it will be an invaluable treasure for any trainer who has a giant gold monster. And this, priceless treasure. In front of me, I'm afraid it's measured in tons. Chapter 253. The duck-billed fire dragon caught in a bottleneck, vs Xiaobo. For full order. Gollum, Gollum. Just as Baizi was staring at the battle platform that was made entirely of tactile fire ore, while he was thinking about something, bursts of bubbles sounded again. Subsequently, Baizi looked at and saw a black shadow flashing past under the magma. The magma burst. Woo tilde. With a dull moan, a fiery red upright beast suddenly burst out from the billowing lava. With one hand, it was buckled on the rock wall above the magma pool. On the yellow and red hair of the whole body, from time to time, crimson lava flowed down from the whole body, dripping into the steaming magma pool. There are 2 clusters of upward orange-yellow flames on the top of its head, like its hair, the pattern of flames on its abdomen, and its whole body, like burning flames. Iconic duck mouth, dead fish eyes. Below the shoulder blades are 4 upside-down red dorsal fins, and at the end of the long yellow tail, a cluster of flames rises. It has a black iron hoop-style coat on its neck and ankles. Overall, gives a dazed feeling. On the equal height platform opposite Baizi. Afterwards, he turned over and landed on the stone platform that was completely ready for barbecue. His eyes were lazy, and he lay on his side leisurely. It was this guy. Baizi recognized at a glance that this is one of the most powerful elves among the fire-type elves in Guandu. The 3rd evolutionary condition has not yet been officially discovered. This is a kind of elves whose body temperature is as high as 1200 degrees, and the hotter the place, the more energetic it is. Moreover, in today's general cognition, the duck-billed fire dragon is already the elf of the final evolutionary class, and its true final evolutionary form, the duck-billed fire dragon, has not yet been discovered by people. After all, its evolution requires the use of an artificial evolution prop, a lava amplifier. And this stuff. As far as Baizi knew, the authority on the evolution of elves in Junsha Town in the Shino area was just developed by Dr. Yamanashi. Including the electric amplifier that evolves the electric beast into the electric beast. Although these 2 studies have been completed, they are still in the final data comparison and data integration, and no papers have been released to the public. However, Baizi believes that this time will not be too late, and it is estimated that it will be made public at the end of this year at the latest. By the time, the duck-billed fire dragon and the electric shock beast are 2 powerful elves in the fire and electricity types. When it comes to the news that they can evolve again, I don't know how explosive the impact will be. Just those trainers who happen to have these 2 types of elves and whose strength is stuck in the bottleneck of quasi-celestial kings, heavenly kings and even champions, don't know what to cheer for. Just like the one in front of me, Shabo's duck-billed fire dragon. Race: duck-billed fire dragon, duck-billed fire beast. Attribute: fire. Characteristic: body of fire. Level: Peak of Kings, level 69, 99 100ths. Potential: King of Heaven. HP: 65, attack, 95, defense, 57, special attack, 100, special defense, 85, speed, 93. Skills: Spark, Smoke Screen, Flame Wheel, Strange Light, Ghost Face, Flame Fist, Smoke Spray, Kick Down, Spray Flame, Big Sunny Day, Big Character Explosion, Destruction of Death Light. Genetic Skill: True Chi Fist. Prop: Charcoal. Open black lens bracket status: Perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction: the duck-billed fire dragon whose potential has been fully explored at this stage, but in the long years, while practicing fire-type moves, it has also tempered its characteristic strength and body to the extreme. Sure enough, the peak of the king is stuck above the bottleneck of the championship. The evolution of elves is the easiest and most effective way to unlock the shackles of elves and improve their strength. It was a leap of life. It is one of the most magical manifestations of the species of elves. As a veteran king, Shabo must have achieved the ultimate in tempering the handheld elves for decades, and the duck-billed fire dragon, which lacks the lava amplifier and failed to evolve into its final form, must also lack the last level to break the cage. Perhaps, he can take advantage of this news. Was thinking about it. Boom! Along with a loud noise, Baizi looked at it with his eyes fixed, and saw that the rock wall on the opposite high platform suddenly opened and closed, revealing the metal iron door that slowly slid open inside. An old man with a bright forehead and a pair of gray-white mustache walked out slowly. Looking at Baizi, he stroked his beard and asked, "Excuse me, what is the thing that my brother and brother have to chase, run, jump and touch every day?" Is it a clock?" "That's right." Shabo snapped his fingers and was about to reveal his disguise, but found that he forgot to bring the wig and other things because he was walking too fast. Therefore, he had to pretend that nothing had happened and patted the top of his smooth head, and said simply, "I am Shabo, the owner of the Red Lotus Gym. Since you can find this place and pass the test, then I declare that you got the chance to challenge the Red Lotus Gym. How about it, aren't you excited?" Looking at Shabo, who was full of passion, Baizi's mouth twitched, and he finally nodded his head to save face. "I'm very excited. I'm Baizi from Junshin Town, the owner of Shabo. It's a pleasure to meet you." I am here for the Crimson Badge." "What, there is no fiery passion like lava at all." Seeing this, Shabo, an old urchin, pouted, but he was used to it when he thought about the boys from before. "Therefore, old man, you let it go first." After greeting the duck-billed fire dragon, he took out an elf and threw it into the field. "The challenge rule of the Red Lotus Gym is 3-3, this is my number 1 player. Come on, cold turtle tongue." Tilde. In the dull low roar, a tortoise with a black and gray tortoise shell and a tan body appeared in the field. Woo, a whistle-like whistle sounded, and smoke billowed out from the nostrils in the center of the fiery red dimpled back shell, covering nearly half of the body and the venue. Open black lens bracket cold turtle, white smoke, peak of the King of Heaven, 69, 85 100ths. Close black lens bracket. Chapter 254. Turn it into the resources to advance to the championship. For full order. It's another flame-type elf at the peak of the king. Baizi's eyes narrowed slightly, he thought for a while, and also took out a black and yellow high-grade ball from his waist. Actually there is no choice. Not counting the legends and Eudemons at hand. The quasi-god middle-level wind speed dog and the champion first-level giant needlebee are obviously not suitable for this battle. Battle is one of the important ways for him to improve his even strength. Unless necessary, Baizi seldom fights the battle of crushing rounds. The rest of the group quietly caught up with Zoroark, who had broken through to the first-level Quasi-King, and Laplace, who had recently entered the intermediate-level Quasi-King. The two of them are still far from each other in terms of strength, and obviously they are not suitable as players in this battle. Not to mention the weaker iron dumbbells. Therefore, Shinado, whose strength is also at the peak of the King of Heaven, is the best choice for this battle. It's still nearly 40 points of experience points. Glancing at Shinado's level data across the Pokeball, Baizi raised his hand and tapped the button in the center of the enlarged luxury ball. Let it be your resource to advance to the championship, Shinado. Sana tilde. 400, Shinado's luxurious and graceful figure flashed out. Under the precise control of mind power, he stood an inch off the ground and stood in the air. Sure enough, you little guy is not easy. Shabo looked up and down the two eyes of the beautiful and flashing Shinado in the field. A ray of admiration flashed in his eyes, and the fighting spirit in his heart was also awakened. As the predecessor of the 4 heavenly kings of Kanto, there is a scientist who focuses on excavating the potential power of elves, and his eyesight is not comparable to that of ordinary people. Shabo could see at a glance that the level of this Shinado would not be inferior to that of his own cold turtle. Is it the flash Shinado of the peak of the king? It is worthy of the praise of those two little monsters. Sure enough. Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly and suddenly asked, Master Shabo, I wanted to ask before, you seem to know me. Luo Lai was obviously taken aback, then continued with a big laugh. Ha 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 ha, did you see it? Laughed. He said bluntly, a total of 4 trainers from Junshin Town found and successfully challenged my Red Lotus Gym before you. Each of them admires you so much, and admits that they have all lost to you. Especially those 2 little monsters. So, I have been waiting for you for half a month with all my heart, and I have recalled a few old guys in advance, just to fight you. What I'm after is a battle of spirits that can make me as hot as the lava of a crater. I have a hunch. This battle is what we have to wait for, a battle that is hotter than magma. Come on, burn your mind, body, and battle with flames. Let the blazing fire erupt happily. The voice fell. One by one, a burst of aura-like explosive flames rushed out from Xiaobo's slightly hunched body. Immediately, Baizi's eyes seemed to be surrounded by layers of flames, as if a fantasy world appeared in front of him. The flaming flames burst, and he, Shinado and the other party were completely surrounded by a circle of fire, just like the battle of trapped beasts. Under this circumstance, the coal tortoise also seemed to have gained some kind of increase. The billowing heat filled the air, mixed with red sparks, forming a firework barrier, swaying in the air scorched by the extreme high temperature. Interesting. The corners of Baizi's mouth raised, and the fighting spirit in his heart was also aroused by this flaming momentum. He waved his hand and told Nazi, who was not far behind, to back away a little. Still a little immature, but in no way inferior to the awe-inspiring force that erupted in vain. Kacha, a layer of white radiance emerges from Shinado's eyes, and the near-substantial ACBH, thought power spreads out from the soles of its feet, diametrically opposed to the terrifying heat released by the cold turtle. This is. Feeling the potential that he was faintly suppressed, and the will conveyed by the other party, Xiaobo's eyes shrank fiercely. A trainer who has been out for less than a year has already successfully bred potency. Moreover, the will that transcends everything contained in this actually makes the explosive flames that he has sharpened for most of his life feel a faint feeling of being suppressed. Where did this little monster come from? The corner of Xiaobo's mouth twitched, and he almost failed to stabilize his mind and let the explosive momentum disintegrate. Under pressure. When even launched a rush attack. Go, cold turtle, use purgatory. As soon as he appeared on the stage, it was the ultimate attack of the fire department. In the low-pitched sound, the steaming hot air gushed out from the cold turtle's back. At the same time, the cold turtle opened its mouth and spit out, and a wavy column of rotating flame rushed out, heading in the direction of Shinado, hitting its head and covering its face. Maybe it's an environmental factor. This purgatory fire pillar came fast and hastily. But in the blink of an eye, it has already rushed in front of Shinado's face. In this regard, Baizi's expression did not change, and he said indifferently, avoid the power of mind, use the strong mind to fight back. Sana. Shinado let out an elegant squeak. Her expression was indifferent, her figure twirled gently like a dance, the lavender awns under her feet lit up, and she leaned sideways like ice skating to pass over the pillar of fire. At the same time, with Su's hand raised, a powerful wave of thought power suddenly emerged, lacing away in the direction of the cold turtle. Nice dodging tricks. Xiaobo sighed in admiration. Facing the surging and powerful wave of thoughts, he remained unmoved. Although his energy would inevitably decline, with decades of combat experience, this counterattack routine would not stymie him at all. Cold turtle, purgatory continues. High-speed spin. Decades of cooperation have made Cold Turtle's execution and understanding of Xiaobo's instructions amazing. Almost as soon as the words fell, it turned around. With the back shell as the focal point, in the rapid rotation, the flames spitting out of the mouth turned into circles, completely covering the body. Zilla, the invisible power of thought was burnt to nothing at the moment of contact with the ring of fire. And the ring of fire is getting bigger and bigger in the continuous rotation of the cold turtle. Until, it stretches towards the entire battle platform. Chapter 255, Extreme vs. Extreme, Shinado's spirit is broken. For full order. The shield of retaliation. Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly, and recognized this fighting method that was no different from the tactics that Ash had created in the Shino area in the anime TV. But his expression was not much surprised. Although netizens in the previous life regarded it as an altar, it seems that just by this tactic, Xiaoji's fighting level has been infinitely raised. Noncommittal. Ash is indeed very ingenious when it comes to ad hoc battles. However, this is just ingenuity. With such ingenuity, the elf world is happening all the time. What invisible bubbles of 3 primary colors, disappearing worm wire arrays, invisible rocks that are tracked and cast. TV worldview. But in this special chapter, if you don't have the stunt of using 2 hands, you are embarrassed to have a name. The real powerhouses and top trainers, such as the champion of the 4 heavenly kings of Kanto, the owner of the illustrated book, and Team Rocket Sakagi, which one has not already possessed a set of mature tactics, and used and trained certain abilities of the elves to the extreme. No matter how ingenious tactics are, there is a way to solve it. Only mature combat concepts and the exploration of the potential of elves are the fundamental and powerful way. Therefore, in the face of Shabo's Cold Turtle's strategy of gradually covering most of the battle platform completely, turning it into a flame ring tactic, Baizi actually didn't take it too seriously. If you want to crack, to be honest, there is more than one way. But it is really difficult. Or, what he really pays attention to is Shabo's Cold Tortoise Fire type skill, which is unusually high temperature. It has to be tested to its limits. Baizi's eyes flashed, and he snorted softly towards Shanae Duo, who was suspending spontaneously and constantly using his thoughts to resist the spread of the flames. Xanadu, increase the output and try to catch it with thoughts. Sana tilde. Shinado nodded slightly, waved his bare hands, and the lavender palm of the mind suddenly condensed, facing the direction of the cold turtle under the hood. However, at the moment of contact, this big hand of thought power was scorched by the outer ring of fire, like peeling an onion, burning and licking layer by layer. Before it was halfway through, the lavender mind power palm was already less than mi shu fengyuan. Just looking at it, it's about to be burned. Sha tilde ni tilde. Seeing this, Shinado frowned, and the boundless eyes seemed to be shining directly, and the super orb on the bracelet suddenly glowed generously. In an instant, the palm of the mind, which is less than the size of an ordinary person's palm, suddenly solidified again. Its texture is lifelike, like reality. Then, the palm-sized mind power palm completely ignored the cold turtle's scorching inferno fire, broke open the layers of flame rings one after another, and directly grabbed the torso of the spinning cold turtle. Good boy. Shabo stroked his beard and smiled, as if he appreciated Baizi's direct response to the center, and ordered, Cold turtle, smoke. Om tilde. Om, the cold turtle hummed softly, and with this, the rolling whistle spurted out along with the thick smoke, making the cold turtle's body as red charcoal. And at the touch of the palm of the mind power that looked at the ring of purgatory flames as if nothing, it quickly dissolved and evaporated like butter. It didn't take a moment for the palm of the mind to be like the essence, and there was no trace of it. Ha ha ha, how is it? Have you seen the hot appearance of the fire elf? Shabo didn't seem to be in a hurry to counterattack. After steaming Shinado's mind power palm, he laughed loudly. This scorching flame is the greatest charm of fire elves. This is a lie. However, words are also weapons, one of the manifestations of strategy in battle. What's more, Baizi has already broken the tactics and essence of the cold turtle. Looking at the cold turtle that was spinning again in the field, raising the ring of flames, and facing Shinado tit for tat. It seems that the owner of Shabo has really gone all out. Baizi shook his head and chuckled, but if I guessed correctly, this cold turtle abandoned the speed that was already a weakness and chose to play defensively and counterattack. Right. Shabo looked startled. And Baizi continued, as for the scorching flames, it is better to say that the most powerful weapon of this cold turtle is the extreme heat that is far superior to that of its kin, isn't it? Ha 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 ha. Shabo was suddenly dumbfounded, but immediately, he couldn't help but let out a long laugh, and said bluntly, is it possible to see through a confrontation? You guessed it right, but how are you going to break this game? Shabo looked at Baizi with anticipation. He is really looking forward to it. Looking forward to the young man in front of him to show more outstanding, more dazzling brilliance, and he is old, but he still has a burning heart like a flame. The battle is nothing more than advance and retreat. Since the owner of the Xiaobo Pavilion, the cold turtle, is holding his position, then we will break the ultimate with the ultimate. Just rush into the formation. Shanito. Baizi drank lightly. At this time, his eyes were full of brilliance, and his high-pitched fighting intent seemed to affect Shanito. Let's decide the outcome with one blow. Spiritual breakthrough. 0. Ask for flowers. Sana tilde. Accompanied by Qing Yin, Shanade Duo's slender arms were raised, like a materialized light wave of thought power quickly converging from between his palms. Afterwards, the two palms were pulled together, and the ordinary thought wave that was floating in front of him was elongated and plasticized, and condensed into a gorgeous thought power spear. Swish, swish, swish. As the spears danced one by one, Shanado charged straight up in the next second. The wild thought power driven by the skill is like a surging wave, and with the increase of the super orb, it turns into a wave, and the bullying fire rings are lined up layer by layer. However, in the blink of an eye, he had already broken through the ring of fire and was bullied into the front of the cold turtle. Oh, cold turtle, blow smoke. Tilde. With Xiaobo's order, the cold turtle repeated the old trick, and the terrifying high temperature that distorted the air rose along with the burning fog. And this time, Shanado, who came with a gun, suddenly twisted his waist, and the two small rui were clenched in front and back. Body shape slightly bowed. Like a Valkyrie on the battlefield. Volley, armed with guns, come across. See, the sound of charcoal soaking in water sounded. As the heat rose, the thought power spear was also a little unbearable, and just when it was touched, there was an image of melting. But the next second, the explosion sounded loudly. Bang! The substantive impact erupted from the tip of the mind power spear, turning into a beam of bright light, directly engulfing the cold turtle that was swept by the horizontal blow. Spiritual break. Change. Gun version. The terrifying spiritual power mixed with pure strong impact turned into a spiral. Directly fly the cold turtle that has no resistance. And keep going. It almost brushed past Xiaobo, and slammed into the rock wall of the high platform behind him. Rumble, a powerful blow directly blasted a big hole in this rock wall, including the inner alloy gate, and the smoke and dust spread all over the place for a while, and the thick smoke and dust spread to the mouth of the volcano with the impact. P.S. Breaking the spirit. My wife is invincible. 3 a few. Chapter 256. Aggression is like fire, speed battle that is hard to discern with the naked eye. You commanded Shanado to defeat Xiaobo's cold turtle, and you have a little gain. Battle experience +20, Shanado experience +15, psychic proficiency +5, spiritual power proficiency +5, spiritual smashing proficiency +5. Accompanied by the system beep. Shanado's experience value leading to the championship level has also taken a big step forward again. Peak of Kings level 69, 81/100. It's only 20 o'clock. Well done, Shanado. The brilliance that no one could see in his eyes faded out. Baizi turned his head, and praised Shanado, who flashed back. Sana tilde. Shanado nodded slightly. Kacha, with a grasp of the plain hand, the residual gun with only half of the handle suddenly shattered into pieces and turned into pure super energy factors that were recovered and absorbed by Shanado. Afterwards, 400 inches closed his eyes and meditated to adjust the slightly boiling and messy attribute factors in his body. In no time, Shanado opened her pure eyes again. When Baizi saw this, he suddenly reminded loudly, Master Xiaobo, let's start the second round. Hearing Baizi's reminder, Xiaobo regained his senses a little, and while taking the cold turtle back to the Pokeball, he said with admiration, it's an amazing blow. My next player is it. Quote. Look at you, flaming horse. B. Accompanied by a long neigh, a pale yellow horse with a single horn and a flaming mane grows from the top of the head along the back to the tail of the horse. The flame-like mane flew up, and it was automatic without wind, looking very handsome. This is a very rare kind of pure fire elves among all the road-riding elves in Guandu and Guandu, the pure fire elves that have been on the top of the list for many years, the Flame Horse. The Flaming Horse is the type of elves with the strongest jumping ability among all the elves known today. According to the evaluation of the Elf League, the Flame Horse with the highest known jump height is maintained by a quasi-god level Flame Horse Overlord in the Chengdu Plain. 6,992 meters. This is almost the height of a civilian airliner, which is terrifying. Of course, it is undeniable that such terrifying bouncing power is partly due to the enhancement effect brought about by the strength of the individual. But even an ordinary flaming horse that jumps tens or hundreds of meters at will, it is easy. Over the mountains and mountains, just like leisure. In addition to the highest jumping height in the elf world, the Flame Horse's running speed and sprinting ability are also among the best. It only takes 10 steps to reach a top speed of 240 km per hour. Moreover, when the Flame Horse is running, the flame on the body will also burn more and more vigorously with the increase of speed. The starry night rushes like a line of fire, which is simply beautiful. And if it gets its approval, no matter how turbulent the flames on the Flaming Horse are, it will not cause any harm to the knight on its back. Flaming Horse. Igniting Fire, Peak of Heavenly Kings, Level 69, 99/100. Baizi used Baizi's power to investigate, and sure enough, there was a fire-type main force at the peak of the Heavenly King. However, an elves like the Flaming Horse, who are good at rushing and long-distance battles, don't have enough venues. Are you sure you can use them? Baizi looked at the battle platform that was suspended in the mysterious sky, no more than 10 meters square at most, and fell into deep doubt. But soon, as the battle officially started, Baizi immediately understood the difficulty of this Flaming Horse. Flame Horse, Slender Horn, Flame Wheel. Wei Wei Yi, quote. There was a long neigh, and the sound did not come, but the Flame Horse had turned into a line of fire and rushed straight. Wait for Baizi to react. The sharp long horn that shone with metallic luster and was surrounded by firelight had already reached Shinedo's front. So fast. Although he had already made spiritual achievements, Baizi couldn't help being surprised by such terrifying explosive power and rapidity. Crisis. He didn't even have time to make a sound, but only had time to telepathically wake up Shinedo. Teleportation. Swish 1000 and 1000, and the Flaming Horse passed by with the remaining faint light. Tick tilde a drop of bright red blood fell from the air and quickly evaporated, leaving a little black and red zero directly on the ground. Opposite corner of the field. The horrified look on Shinedo's face flashed out, and on the left shoulder, a long and narrow opening was oozing blood. And the other side. Go on, move fast. Step. The Flaming Horse, which missed a single hit, did not slow down at all, and even accelerated again under Sha Bo's follow-up instructions. In the crisp tap sound, the Flaming Horse turned directly at the edge of the field, and it was as smooth as the refraction of light, and suddenly changed its direction, drew a beat character, and charged in the direction of Shinedo again. Baizi's pupils shrank for a while. At this moment, he finally knew why Sha Bo dared to send an elves like the Flaming Horse that needed to be used in depth to set foot on this small battlefield. At such a rapid speed, the ability to coordinate and control with precision to the millimeter was exactly the strength of this Flaming Horse, is ignoring the limitations of the venue. It is unimaginable that if the restrictions of the venue are released and the opponent is allowed to run. How difficult is this Flaming Horse? Baizi was shaking in his heart. At the same time, he also gained a new understanding and insight into one of the bipolars pursued by fast attackers, only fast is unbreakable. But this is not the time to think about it. In the field, even with the almost instantaneous teleportation brought about by air dominance and strong mental power, Shinedo is already exhausted by the constant pursuit of the Flaming Horse. The flash and the movement of the Flaming Horse produced by Shinedo's teleportation, the line of fire is almost full of battle platforms. Under such entanglement, there is a slight difference, even if Shinedo will not lose his combat ability by a single blow, but if he encounters it, he will definitely be directly knocked out of the field. Boy, how's it going? Sha Bo's eyes were burning, how do you break the attack of such a raging flame and aggression like fire? Chapter 257, Superpower Annihilation. Eat me full screen bombing unlimited tricks please order. How to crack. Generally speaking, in addition to fighting fast, even using space tactics, it is easy to be countered if the opponent cannot be quickly resolved. After all, this is not turn-based in the game. It can be fully digitalized and waiting for you to come and I go. The best way is to take advantage of the breathing space obtained by space tactics and strive for a one-shot victory. Let the opponent have no room for counterattack at all. And that's the difficulty. Another thing is, whether the expanded space can include the other party. In reality, if you are not limited by the space distance, then it is too difficult to include the opponent. You open up the space, I will just hide away and bombard you with artillery tactics. In this way, space tactics are also equivalent to being abolished by most of them. If you want to succeed, you need to grasp the timing too much. However, the rise of the ring format has brought space tactics to use. Especially in a small space. Let the trainers who specialize in the super energy department shine this tactic in the ring battle, and even set up a space team with this as the core. Professional to get the first move, use, slow, to fight, fast, and use the super high double attack to take away the opponent. However, such tactics are not very popular in Guandu. It mainly arises from Fangyuan and Shenao. And the regional isolation of this world is generally very strong, especially Guandu and Fangyuan Shenao are separated by mountains and seas, and many research results and even elf information cannot be communicated. Not to mention that tactics such as tactics and tactics are not circulated in themselves, or in other words, things that no one wants to circulate freely. But it doesn't matter to Bai Zi. He has always been a hobby of learning, and from time to time, he will use the connectivity of the wizard network to learn, to increase his knowledge and knowledge. Combined with various tactical explanations from previous life Pokémon games. Bai Zi's own understanding of various tactics, not to mention proficient, is also well informed. Coupled with the advantages of today's narrow venue. And, another AoE exclusive trick of Shinado that has a different spirit to break. With a certain expression, Bai Zi looked at Shinado and the flaming horse who were getting more and more entangled in the field, and immediately ordered, "Hold on." The fluorescent green honeycomb shield suddenly rose. Then, call. The almost indiscriminate sound of impact followed. The metal horn wrapped around the firelight deeply pierced the shield for several inches, and the nearby cracks suddenly rose up, which seemed to be in danger. I am afraid it does not need the first time. The second strike, and then a stalemate for a while, the protective shield will be announced to rupture. But, this time is enough. Sanato, trick space, Sana tilde. Without the slightest hesitation, Shinado directly gave up the energy infusion of the hold skills. One by one, with the sound of the shield shattering, both hands clasped together. Next second, a layer of twisted light curtain suddenly expanded from the inside to the outside of its palm, and in an instant, it turned into a pink virtual space 10 meters square, completely encompassing the entire venue, including the flaming horse. The flaming horse was restricted at the corner of the ring. Even though Bai Zi's grasp of the timing was quite precise, if the venue was not limited, Shinado might have been run away by the flaming horse. Substitute. Shabo's instructions followed. As the best escape technique, the avatar can instantly create a fake that resists the damage and effects of some moves. Is to avoid the fatal blow. Excellent change skills to resolve dilemmas. Shabo's reaction should not be unpleasant. Not only did he clarify the battle situation in the first place, but he also used his own experience to avoid the next strong blow for Raging Flame Horse in advance. With such a quick reaction ability and an old-fashioned control technique, even Bai Zi, who is the opponent, is not praised secretly. Not to mention Nazi, who is watching the battle behind her. Even with superpowers. But there is still a sense of dazzling, unable to keep up with the rhythm. To be honest. As a trainer, Shabo has played his role to the extreme. But sometimes, the existence of some skills is unreasonable. Substitute. Eat me full screen bombing infinite tricks, JoJo face. JPG tilde, super power annihilation. With by Z's order, the light, red orange yellow green blue blue purple. Colorful, gorgeous infinite rainbow light from Shinedo's body suddenly rose up. This splendid ambilight rose too suddenly. Except for Baizi and Nazi, who were prepared for a long time. Even Shabo's eyes were sore from the burst of light in an instant, and he couldn't see anything. Baizi turned his head to avoid it. Under the mental induction, the violent super energy factor was like an oil pan meeting water, and it turned into a turbulent burst like a real tidal wave, displacing all the attribute factors within a radius of 100 meters. And the superpower that was consciously imprisoned in the battlefield is intensified in the violent collision and conflict. Until, with a bang. It was night, and countless residents of Honglian Island saw an unforgettable spectacle. The long-active Honglian volcano spewed out a lavender light wave today. After the light wave rose to midair, it exploded and scattered like fireworks. I don't know, I thought there was a secret Fireworks 400 event on Red Lotus Island tonight. But at this time, inside the crater, the violent superpower factor lasted for about 5 minutes. This is where it begins to gradually shrink inwards. When all the substantive super energy factors in the vicinity were completely gone, the scene revealed made by Z's heart twitch. The flaming horse was embedded in the volcanic rock wall above Shabo's head. The whole body was scorched black, and the flame was like a candle in the wind, as if it was seriously injured. And the battle platform made of touch-melting fire ore has long disappeared. There are only 4 remaining chains that are less than a mile long. You commanded Shinedo to defeat Shabo's flaming horse, and gained a little, battle experience plus 20, Shinedo's experience value plus 15, teleportation proficiency plus 5, hold proficiency plus 5, strange space proficiency plus 5, super can annihilate proficiency plus 5, my touch melting fire mine. Wipe. He didn't have time to listen to the notification sound of the system's victory. At this time, Baizi only felt that his heart was bleeding. P.S. Tomoko, Pika Niang tilde. Chapter 258. Disgusting batch, I believe in your evil. For full order. It's too hard to fight. Baizi couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Such a large piece of touch-melting fire ore. Not to mention enhancing the fire resistance of your own iron dumbbells, even if you were raising a whole group of iron dumbbells. Baizi suddenly remembered the food intake of his iron dumbbells, but at least 7 or 8 is enough. It's a pity. What a waste. I really sighed in my heart. But soon, Baizi regained his thoughts and turned his attention to Shinedo, who was slightly out of breath. It's only 5 o'clock. As long as he finishes fighting this guy, Shinedo will definitely be able to make up the final experience value and successfully advance to the championship field. Dark belly. Baizi looked towards the opposite side. At this time, Shabo has simply dealt with some injuries for the flame horse, and put it back into the Pokeball. In front of him, the fire curtain was slowly withdrawn, and the duck-billed fire dragon with his arms down had no trace of laziness on his face. The eyes of broad bean-sized pupils were like electricity. An invisible hot air rose up. But it didn't spill at all. Around it, a layer of twisted light curtain of about an inch is formed. It's really strong. Shabo was holding the elf ball with the flaming horse on his face, and his expression was a little dazed. To be frank, he thought about losing. After all, he had already had a hard time fighting the 2 little monsters before. The back waves of the Yangtze River pushed the front waves, not to mention the big monster that the 2 little monsters admired. But what he didn't expect was that, after trying his best, whether it was tactics or elves, he still lost 2 games in a row. Moreover, the loss was so straightforward that there was no room for a little maneuver to counterattack. It can be said that it was almost shot to death on the beach. However, interesting. It's so interesting. Such a scorching battle makes me feel like I'm going to be burnt out. Ha 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 ha. Shabo suddenly laughed excitedly. Immediately, he looked at Baizi and said, "Boy, the field has been damaged now. It stands to reason that 2 wins in 3 rounds can be regarded as your victory, but you probably haven't fully enjoyed yourself yet." Baizi certainly understood what Shabo meant. Couldn't help chuckling and shrugging. Each other tilde. "So, the last game, do you want to continue? I can't ask for it." Ha 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 ha, very good. Shinado, break the spirit. Duck-billed fire dragon, let's go next, flame fist. Under the mutual illumination of the moonlight and the light of lava, on the natural pillars above the crater, an elegant and beautiful humanoid elf waved with one arm. While the spear in his hand danced, he flew into the air. And at the same time, the duck-billed fire dragon directly opposite also showed no signs of weakness. Under Shabo's command, a wheel flipped forward, and its tail slapped heavily on the column in front. The body immediately used the force of recoil to face Shinado head-on. Long spear slashing. Like a lilac waning moon blooming from the void. In the face of this terrifying blow that killed the cold turtle in an instant, the duck-billed fire dragon remained calm in the face of danger. The 5-fingered claws clenched tightly, the scales on the elbows suddenly tightened with the strength, the muscles bulged slightly, and the flames on the fists suddenly big risk. Call. A short and crisp symphony, a complete blow of golden iron. And then, bang, the substantial impact suddenly erupted from the tip of the psychic spear held by Shinado, turned into a dazzling wave of light, and engulfed it straight towards the duck-billed fire dragon. Seeing what happened to the cold turtle is about to repeat itself. Boom. The lingering flames suddenly erupted from the fist of the duck-billed fire dragon, turning into layers of rotating flame pillars, directly impacting on the wave of thought. There was a sudden explosion. Then, with 2 swishes, the figures of Shinado and the duck-billed fire dragon shot out from the violent smoke. Beneath the layers of psychic shields that were like substance, Shinado stopped over the edge of the crater. And the duck-billed fire dragon is not so easy to right. The powerful propulsion caused by the explosion was directly blasted out, and it was deeply embedded in a column, almost smashing it to the waist. However, the duck-billed fire dragon quickly pulled the stone like a duck, and pulled himself out of the stone pillar. Then, with a flick of the long tail, like cutting tofu, he cut off the half-remained stone pillar behind him, and pushed it into the constantly churning lava pool under him. Seeing this scene, Baizi and Shinado looked at each other, and the corners of their mouths twitched almost invariably. From the beginning of the battle at the crater to the present, such a scene has happened 7 times. In the meantime, this duck-billed fire dragon forcibly ate Shinado's 3-shot super energy annihilation and 4-strike spiritual break. But so far, on the status column, it's just a minor injury. Only now did Baizi finally know what the so-called tempering the body and strength to the extreme, in the previous column of the introduction of the duck-billed fire dragon means. Baizi's ability to control the fire element was within his expectations, but is this level of body manipulation ability and strength a fire elf should have? I'm afraid it's far worse than the general fighting type or the steel type elves, right? Shabo, this guy is really looking for a different way. And, keep fighting like this. Even if the competition is exhausted, Shinado, who has amazing mental power and has a super orb of props in his hand, is not afraid at all. But such a dry confrontation, there is no dismantling and change of tactics at all. In Baizi's view, it is completely an endurance race. Nothing but a waste of time. Because according to Baizi's estimation, if you want to grind the duck-billed fire dragon to death little by little, the 1000-day battle is exaggerated, but it is entirely possible to fight for 3 or 5 days. This is so disgusting. With this time, he might as well find a few Heavenly King-level overlords inside the vibrant forest and brush up the experience points. Why spend 3 or 5 days here dry? What's a hotter battle than lava? That's it. I really believe in your evil. Chapter 259, Crisis. Shinado who successfully activated the power of evolution. Seriously. He now really doubts how Xiaoji's old spray in the TV animation solved the duck-billed fire dragon with a single throw from the earth. Perhaps, the other party is afraid of heights. Heart slander. Shinado, go ahead, break the spirit. But seeing the duck-billed fire dragon rushing towards Shinado with a flaming fist again, Bai Zi, who had nothing to do for a while, had to order Shinado to fight back. Consume as much as you can, anyway, you can't let the duck-billed fire dragon get close. Otherwise, using the opponent's physique, playing a rogue, dragging his own Shinado into the lava, what should we do? Well, with the opponent's shameless dismissal, it might be possible to play this trick to force himself to admit defeat. Bai Zi speculated with malice in his heart. Of course. It's not that Bai Zi didn't think about it himself, using the restrictions of the ring competition to knock the opponent out of the field to win. But Shinado uses the skill shock to explode it, and it will directly confront you, or directly resist. If the intention is to throw it out, the duck-billed fire dragon can quickly break free in a short period of time by virtue of its tempered physique and the precise explosion of the fire element. Now. But Bai 417Z is actually not without any way to break the game. The super orb carried by Shinado provides a 20% increase in spirit in addition to the normal state. Also in a short time. In the form of a burst, the effect of the increase of spirit is advanced to more than 50%. An increase of 30% may not seem like much, but it can push Shinado's combat power to the championship field in a short period of time. But again, an overloaded mental surge must be poured out or cut off in short order. Otherwise, Shinado will inevitably fall into a period of weakness or devour himself. Therefore, this is equivalent to the failure or success, the one-hit kill, the ultimate trump card used for comebacks. With a full blow, Bai Zi had the confidence to directly get down on this disgusting duck-billed fire dragon, but in the same way, with this blow, even he wasn't sure whether it would kill the opponent directly. In other words, smashed into slag. It's just a gym competition, not a life and death fight in the wild. Bai Zi is crazy to have such a deadly vengeance with Xiaobo. Therefore, do you want to replace the sprite? Looking at Shinado, who was entangled with the duck-billed fire dragon again, like a Valkyrie, holding a gun and ACBH, surrounded by firelight, Bai Zi frowned slightly, and quickly dismissed this sudden rise. Thoughts aside. Although either the wind speed dog or the giant stinger bee can quickly end this tug of war. But before this battle, both he and Shinado used this battle as a resource for Shinado to advance to the championship field. Replace sprites. Don't say that Bai Zi himself is a little uncomfortable. I'm afraid that for Shinado, it is also very aggrieved. So. While he was pondering, Bai Zi, who turned on Bai Zi's power from time to time and was paying attention to the state of the duck-billed fire dragon, suddenly swept over Shinado's body inadvertently. Suddenly, rows of data came into view. In the eyes of Bai Zi, who has absolute memory ability, this data panel, which is fleeting to others, is exceptionally clear. And it is this look. Let him discover what's lurking in this battle. Status: poor, poisoned. Poisoned. Bai Zi's eyes narrowed fiercely. Although he didn't know exactly how Shinado was poisoned, he still responded immediately. Xanaduo, keep your distance. Mysterious guardian. Have you found it? The corner of Xiaobo's mouth raised slightly when the old god was there. And on the field. Bang. After blasting the duck-billed fire dragon with a single shot, Shinado directly chased away the psychic spear in his hand as a javelin. Immediately afterwards, Bai Zi's order was executed without any hesitation. I saw Shinado raised his hands. Shining rays of light erupted around the body. Strange fluctuations rose from the body, quickly suppressed the toxins that gradually accumulated in Shinado's body, and temporarily avoided falling into the abnormal state of poisoning. And at the same time, with his extraordinary eyesight, Bai Zi also discovered the purple poisonous mist that overflowed from the corner of the duck-billed fire dragon's mouth and was quickly evaporated by his own high temperature. It turns out that, seeing this scene, Bai Zi immediately understood. This duck-billed fire dragon actually used the firelight to burn and cover the turbid mist from its mouth during the battle. Although these poisonous gases that have been burned into smoke are not only highly toxic, and will soon be evaporated by the heat, but they add up and are not easy to find. Insidious. This old guy is so sinister. However, the thought in Bai Zi's heart just arose. In the field, an accident happened again. Flame has never only been hot and violent like a volcanic eruption, but also has deep deposits surging in undercurrents. No Tarzan. Accompanied by Sha Bo's preaching voice. Boom. It was as if the volcano was about to erupt again, and in the smoke that suddenly rose, the duck-billed fire dragon clad in a coat of flames burst out like a cannonball out of its chamber. Straight towards Shinato's chest and abdomen. Flash charge. Not good. Bai Ziwei's blue pupils shrank fiercely, and the highly concentrated mental power connected to Shinato at this moment, and the deadly crisis that made the scalp numb suddenly came to my heart. But right now. Kacha, there seems to be an inexplicable cracking sound. It was accompanied by a peculiar sense of time stagnation. A sense of pleasure in breaking the cage followed the spiritual link to Bai Zi's heart, and then, a dazzling white light suddenly rose from Shinato's body surface. And with this, the violent superpower factor also erupted from Shinato's body at this moment. This superpower factor directly formed a substantial spherical light wave that spread wildly in all directions. The duck-billed fire dragon that came by surprise was hit head-on. Immediately, a roar like a big drum resounded. After a short stalemate, the duck-billed fire dragon hardly did any effective interception. The diffused spherical light waves were directly blown away, and the tree roots and pillars were broken one after another. In the end, it was deeply embedded in the rock wall of the crater. There was no movement for half a sound. As this successfully activated the power of evolution. P.S. Guess whether my wife is in the form of X or Y, attached to the wedding photo, the wedding of Shinato tilde. Chapter 260, Advance to the Championship. Super Shinato Y. For full order. Since Cerulean successfully evolved into Shinato, Bai Zi has been trying to help Shinato activate the power of evolution in her body and unlock the 2 mega forms hidden in her body. However, although Bai Zi's method was exhausted, Shinato also vaguely felt the potential power sealed in the body. But in any case, it just can't be successfully stimulated. Originally, Bai Zi was going to find a time to go to Carlos to see if he could find Shinato's Mega Evolution Stone, and try to inspire him to give it a try. Or just ask the newly captured Black Flash crack empty seat. After all, as a cracking seat that can independently stimulate the finishing touch, the understanding of super evolution should not be bad. But unexpectedly, before he could take action, Shinato actually inspired the power of evolution by himself under the crisis. I just don't know, which form will Shinato activate this time? X, Y, or are both forms successfully activated? In Bai Zi's expectant gaze, the spherical light wave that expanded to almost the entire volcanic peak rapidly contracted inward. And at the same time, Sana tilde, accompanied by the appearance of a bright double spiral color structure phantom, Shinato, whose whole body was shrouded in white light, suddenly raised his head and let out an ethereal coquettish cry. In an instant, the originally pure white light of evolution gradually turned into a splendid iridescent luster. And under the light of this more pair of eyes, Shinato's form gradually began to change amazingly. The slender figure was raised again, and the long skirt that was fluttering was stirred up in the light, and gradually turned into a palace robe similar to a bubble skirt. Soon, the light fades away. Accompanied by the fleeting double spiral phantom, the brand new Shinato appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The lilac curls are shorter, and the corners of the head that spread out around the ears look like wings, and the sides are decorated like a gorgeous crown. A black tuxedo dress wraps above the waist. In Ying Ying's grasp, the long black dress split from her waist was fluffy. On it, there is a layer of white gowns like a wedding dress, and the chest is divided into 2 open orange-red plates, which is a symbol of Shinato's substantial spiritual liberation. It's so beautiful. Natsu on the side couldn't help but raise a trace of splendor in her eyes. Shinado was originally in line with human aesthetics, and Shinado after super evolution was even more amazing. Originally, she had no desire to subdue elves, even Monini was just a matter of fate, and only because of Baizi's suggestion did she subdue it as a pet. But at the moment, Natsu had already decided in her heart that she wanted to find an opportunity to conquer such an elf too. Evolution. Shabo also looked surprised. Now Carlos' Mega Evolution is still in the preliminary discovery and research stage. As a Kanto region, Shabo naturally has no way of knowing. As a scholar who studies the potential power of elves, even if he did not receive the title of doctor, he still knows what Shinado's re-evolution means. If this is not the exception, but if it can be popularized and even extended to other elves, then, the scientific community, no, it is the whole wizard world will usher in a brand new change. This is in no way inferior to the concept of elf characteristics proposed by Dr. Ogi a few years ago. Even more than that. Feeling the strong sense of oppression emanating from Shinado on the opposite side, Shabo's heart shook very much. Baizi didn't think so much. For Shinado's success in activating the power of evolution, he can only be sincerely happy. Admiringly watching Shinado's new and beautiful figure, an inexplicable mood suddenly came to my mind. It seemed like a feeling, and some inexplicable, unclear. Squeeze the throbbing. Baizi, whose mouth twitched involuntarily, turned to look at Shinado again. In the eyes, the unseen radiance suddenly appeared one by one. Race. Super Shinado purple flashing Y form, X form, inactive. Attribute. Super Fairy. Feature. Fairy skin. Level. Champion peak temporary increase in Y form, Champion beginner, level 70, 15/100. Potential. Level 2 God, extreme. Open black lens bracket HP. 168 attack. 140/100, 65 defense. 90/100, 65 special attack. 175/135, 125 special defense. 130/100, 115 speed. 110/100, 80. Exclusive skill. Super Annihilation. Use the violent superpower to completely destroy everything within the attack range. 0. Ask for flowers. Open black lens bracket skill. Slightly. Close black lens bracket. Genetic skills. Black eyes. Farewell gifts. Open black lens bracket status. Perfect close black lens bracket. Props. Super Orb. Seed of the World Tree. Introduction. Leloras, with extraordinary aptitude, is gifted with extraordinary talents and possesses a powerful spiritual power far beyond that of his family. He perfectly integrates the genetic sequences of the two great legends of Dream and Super Dream, thus gaining power and ability beyond the limit. Contains the ultimate power of super evolution. Is it only the Y form that is good at special attack? It's not bad, and it's also a pleasant surprise to successfully advance to the championship field. Looking at Shinado, no, at this time, it should be said that it is a brand new Super Shinado. On the data panel, Baizi's face showed joy. Then, after seeing the temporary increase in strength of this form, he was even more shocked. The pinnacle of champions. A full 9 levels, 3 stages of strength span. Baizi didn't know whether all super evolutions could have such an increase, but the increase in strength brought about by Shinado after unlocking the Y form was a bit surprising to him. Coupled with the increase in racial values, especially the increase in special attack racial values. Just by Shinado. At this time, Baizi has the confidence to compete head-to-head with the absolute main force of any champion. Shinado also felt that the surge in her body was more than 10 times. But she could be completely controlled by her mental energy and super power factor like an arm, and the corner of her mouth couldn't help but outline a smile. That beautiful smile, even if it was only from the side, made Baizi couldn't help but tremble in his heart, feeling a little overwhelmed. Immediately, a blush appeared from Shinado's profile. The rippling atmosphere just rose. Kacha, with a crisp sound, The embarrassed duck-billed fire dragon burrowed out of the hole in the volcanic rock wall with difficulty. Shinato's face turned cold. The slender arm wrapped in the black glove lifted slightly, distorting the space, and the violent thought force suddenly emerged. P.S. Wife's competition is high tilde a few.